500 horsepower pushing me into my seat, reaching 250 kilometers an hour in a few seconds, while braking just as quick. Driving on some of the most famous tracks in the world. Driving bumper to bumper against great players from all around the world. Fighting for the ultimate prize. Being the real racer. The Real Race 2021. Sign up now.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Lamborghini The Real Race. It is race number 3. We have been around the world and we are back again, this time in Suzuka. It's going to be an endurance race. It's going to be fantastic. This is the 3rd race. If you've missed the action already, well, where have you been? The qualifiers have been running. This is completely open to everyone. It's fantastic. Of course, Suzuka is going to be covering the APAC region. That is Asia and Pacific. It's only natural, you know, Suzuka based in Japan. It's exactly where we should be. First off, of course, I want to thank you to our partners, obviously, for making this all happening, because you guys out there wouldn't be racing without them. Of course, it is on Assetto Corsa Competizione. You know, we kind of need the game to do it in the first place, of course. Intel, Kaspersky, and of course, a new sponsor, Secret Labs. As you can see, it is an endurance race. You know, you want to be comfy in your chairs, and that's exactly what I am. Of course, this is the Titan EVO 2020, but if you want to get even comfier, there is a brand new Titan EVO 2022. I hope you're sitting comfortably. If not, you need to go get yourself one right now. So let's, I would ordinarily be talking obviously with Rene. Rene right now has a few problems, so it is just me, myself and I here right now. I would normally be introducing him, or he would be introducing me, but as you can see, it is just myself. But that's fine, don't worry boys, it's only an endurance race. I can carry this through all on my own. So without further ado, let's have a look at what happened last time out at Laguna Seca. And away we go. Green, green, green given. And we are live and racing. Going straight into the hairpin. This is where the action will happen all through the race. Hendrickson absolutely smashing it. Well away.
Huge crash in the background. Someone went wide in the left-hand kick there. And it seems like that was a major smash there.
On the defensive, Moreira up the inside. I don't quite think he's going to have enough drive to hold this one, but they will be side-by-side connection. Moreira forced off the track by Felipe as they were neck and neck. Some fantastic racing for the North American LATAM region. It was brilliant race overall, and congratulations to William Hendrickson for taking the win in both of those races. But that was, of course, last time out, and now we are moving over to the APAC region. Now, how do you guys all get involved in this? Well, obviously, everybody out there, this is completely open to you. Yes, you the viewer, you there, you sat behind your sim rig right now, sat thinking, I'm good enough to do this. I should be racing in this. I want this prize. Well, I can tell you exactly how we're going to do it. We're going to be starting out, the next qualifiers will be in the 2nd to the 6th of August. That's when things are going to be kicking off. So just a week's time, we're going over to Kialama for that one, or Kialama, as I've been pronounced. Apparently been pronounced it wrong my entire life, but there we go. South Africa is where we're going. So now, if you got to be over the age of 16, that's check, done that. Okay, good. Got yourself a decent rig setup. Got yourself a Assetto Corsa Competizione. Good stuff. You're in a great position. Now, you just got to be pretty darn quick. The competing regions obviously are APAC, Asian Pacific. So that is obviously Australia, China, etc. All that entire huge area. Europe and Middle East, so that massive area over there. And of course, North America, South America, the whole LATAM regions. So if you're in one of those regions, kind of covers most of the globe, then you can take part. Now, keep your eyes out for the open qualifiers. Get over to the Real Race website and keep your eyes out for that. As I say, 2nd of August, the next one's kicking off through to the 6th. And if you are in and lucky enough to be quick enough to be the top 40 drivers in the time trial, so single player mode time trial on that circuit, then you will be invited to the closed qualifiers. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to be in the race yet, because you've got to be quick. You've got to be quick when it counts. So in those closed qualifiers, if you make the top 20, then you're in. You're in the race, and it's going to be fantastic stuff. We'll be commentating you right here on the screens, most likely. If you're quick enough, of course. Now, of course, we are going to be covering all other races as well, so it's not just that. If you can't make the 2nd to the 6th of August, you know, there are more races going on. Obviously, it's a 10-race season overall. We've already had 2, this being the 3rd one, so there's still 7 options available for you. So what's this all about? Well, let's talk about the prize, because that's what you guys are interested in, right? You just want to know what you're going to win. What if I put all this work in, what am I going to win? Well, it is an absolutely magnificent prize. Firstly, everyone that applies has a chance to win a Lamborghini headset. That's a great start. So straight away, you're immediately in there. You got yourself a headset. And of course, the winner from each region will be getting themselves a trip to join the Lamborghini race team and race around the track. I say race, you know, as gently as possible. Please don't break it. In the Lamborghini Super Trofeo version 2. It will be fantastic. Check this out.
Engine goes positive lap for driver change. Copy, out.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. If you don't know, obviously, what that's all about, well, you can check out Niels. Neox was one of the men in that video as well. He was obviously the winner from last time out. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So let's have a look at the schedule for the upcoming races, of course. As I mentioned, you know, obviously next up is Kialama. But that's not all. Of course, we are going around the region. We have started off things. We were in Monza to begin with, then over to Laguna Seca. Now we're going to do the endurance. And what's the endurance? It's a 2-hour race. Of course, the sprint race is what that means. It's a 45-minute race into a, it's a 50-minute race into an hour-long race. Obviously into Zandvoort, going around the Nürburgring, Catalonia, Silverstone, Spa-Francorchamps, and finishing things off in Misano. So Absolutely brilliant stuff. And you can see there are open qualifying dates for all of these things that you guys at home can get involved with. As I say, next one, 2nd to the 6th of August. They're the dates you're going to want to look towards to see if you can get into the next race. So, absolutely brilliant stuff. That's what it's all about. But what's the man that's making it all happen? Well, let's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, a special message from the Lamborghini CEO, Stefan Winkelmann.
Pushing the boundaries has been within the DNA of Lamborghini from the very first day. And we all agree that competition helps every company and every individual to never rest and always keep pushing. Of course, this is also true for racing competitions, be it out on the track or in a simulator. In fact, sim racing has experienced a huge growth over the last years, even accelerated during this last year of travel restrictions and other limitations due to COVID. Lamborghini is happy to be a supporter and an important driver of this trend. We share the passion of the sim racing community. With the Real Race, we are now increasing the competition to 3 regions. This is a great development, underlining Lamborghini's commitment and providing even more racers a chance to engage with our brand. On the company's journey, the development of digital solutions is crucial. Making racing accessible for everyone is close to our heart. In the end, we all in this incredible car universe are in it for the love of cars and the passion for performance. We'd like to wish the best luck to the drivers. We are all looking forward to seeing who will win the championship and become Lamborghini official sim driver in 2022. And now, I invite you to play, to compete, to be entertained by Lamborghini.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. And as he says, it is indeed open to all. And what I did mention is, yeah, indeed, you will be potentially the Lamborghini Sim Driver for 2022. What a fantastic prize that will be. So let's move on to the race itself. Let's start talking about where we are. We're going into Suzuka, of course, for today. It's a track that everybody knows. It's been a popular track for many, many years. Obviously, it hasn't really had too many changes. I think 2005 was the last changes it has, long circuit. And of course, it will be an endurance race. So let's have a look exactly what Suzuka is all about. So the 4 high-speed stretches obviously is going through the S's. You all know what it's all about round there. Everybody, surely, I think by now, everybody watching this has at some point driven around Suzuka. I'm sure you have. You've gone around the Dunlop curb and you're going to be bombing around it overall. It's been a track that a lot of people have done endurance races on them as well. Overall, probably one of my favorite technical, I'm going to say technical circuit. I don't know if I'm throwing it out there. It does have a lot of curves, of course. Sorry, I was trying to drag something that wasn't working for me. I was like, why is this not moving? There's multiple screens going on, multiple things going on. As I say, so technical circuit in there. Obviously, you've got the bridge section. You're going around, you know, you've got the big, long straight into the curve. And then you immediately loop it around. There's the tight hairpin in there, you know, the Casio triangle, which is basically your bomb down from the spoon curve. You take that. I'm going to say if your balls to the wall, you go full speed around, I think it's curve 15, isn't it? I think it has a name. You go full speed around that and then hard on the brakes into the chicane just before you get over the line. That's where you can make or break your race, really, in terms of times as well. So let's have a look at the drivers that will be taking part today. As I say, we are going into the Asia Pacific region, so obviously a lot of drivers that you may or may not know here. Igor Ogrodnikov on the top there was the fastest driver last time out. He had a great result in Laguna Seca, so not surprised to see him up there, hotly followed by Szymanski, who also did very well. Gary Huang, the winner of Monza in both races there, and Dika Ramamalana, a name that I'm very familiar with from various other racing games as well. Terry Rayton and Andrew Lawrenson, the Aussies, hot on the heels of Davlish Singh, who was having a fantastic race at Monza last time out. We covered him, but had that big off, which cost him a lot of points overall. And then, of course, we get into the Myanmar with Wukit Loh, who actually, I think he had a collision with Terry Rayton in that Monza race, if I'm not mistaken. Lucas Burrs, Nigel Shua, and then we go down further down the field. Obviously, Mirenko, Wung Tan, Mohamed Afik Farid, Mishra, Sakharov, Brandon Shung, Alexis Clapano, the sole representative of the Filipinos, Isaac Norman and Andrew Ahara. So big representation from Australia in there. The Russians do very well at the top of the field, of course. Just the one Chinese driver, Gary Huang, as I say, did very well in the championship before. So they're your drivers for the day. We'll see, of course, how and well they work out for them. As we mentioned, unlike before, this is not a sprint race, so we're going to be going through a 2-hour epic. So it's all about how you obviously manage your tires, your fuel, etc. in terms of pit stops as well. Igor Ogrodnikov, as we say, had fantastic drive for him last time out. Absolutely did brilliantly. Currently, I believe leading the point standings as well. If I'm not mistaken. I would have to double check how that all works out for him, but definitely did fantastic. Won both sprint races in Laguna Seca. Hot on his heels was Szymanski. Obviously, it was in the chat last week. I saw him in there while we were covering the LATAM and North American regions. So great to see Szymanski getting involved. Obviously, you guys in chat as well. Great to see some of the drivers out there getting involved in this one. And obviously, he's been hot on the heels of Ogrodnikov, so anytime he slips up, Szymanski is going to be there. But hot behind them, of course, has been Gary Huang, as I mentioned, two-time winner in Monza as well. The Chinese did very well there. Led from the start, did get pressured by Ogrodnikov a little bit at Monza. Didn't do as well, though, at Laguna Seca, so it's going to be very interesting to see, especially with these top three, how they're going to handle now in Suzuka. As I mentioned, a very technical track, definitely a lot of areas you can slip up, certainly more complicated than the likes of Monza and Laguna Seca, that both have, I believe, just 11 turns. I think both of them have just 11 turns, right? Maybe one or two more in Laguna Seca. I'm not too sure. It depends how many you count, but I'm pretty sure it was 11 turns for both of them. This one definitely has a lot more turns. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, Suzuka, 18 turns in total. And it's going to be a tough race. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a tough race, especially when you're looking at a 2-hour race. You're looking towards basically, keeping your focus, keeping your. You can easily take your eye off the ball. If you're not racing, you're kind of in that hot lap mode. Effectively, you can just make a mistake. Just a little slip, just a little outbreak yourself, and suddenly you're going to have somebody on your back. So. I guess we'll get into the game and start seeing how things are going once things are, because they're all in free practice at the moment. So hopefully we'll get things going shortly. But before we get there, we do have to add a little word from our sponsors. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the grid lined up, or not lined up, they're sat in the pits at the moment, because they're all in free practice mode. They're all having their little warm-ups, making sure they're all set to go, and just confirming everything is good, making their fuel is good, checking their fuel running. And as you can see, at the moment, it is a greasy, wet track. Now, this could change. This could change. When things kick off, we've been caught out by this before. You know, in free practice, it's been raining. It happened at Laguna Seca, and then the race kicked off, and it was completely dry, and everybody was back happy where they were. But I'm very interested to see how this is going to be if it stays on these conditions. It definitely will make things a little bit more slippery for the drivers out there, especially at the start. Especially at the start, when they're obviously looking at full fuel loads. You know, everything is... It's going to get tricky for them. It's going to get tricky, isn't it? I'm very interested to see how this is going to go, especially with the start. I mean, what could go wrong at the start? Let's talk about that start. Obviously, we have the big first turn, you know, which is definitely going to be a problem. Now, just to be clear... I'm just trying to look. They're over the bridge, aren't they? That's the bridge they're on top of. So just before turn 15, by the looks of it. I'm just trying to judge where they are. It's usually about halfway around the track, or a little bit less. So it will be obviously a rolling start, getting straight into it. And someone we didn't mention is the new driver on the grid for this race, and that is Andrew O'Hara, who has come into this one as the fastest qualifier, which is, you know, magnificent in itself, so well done to him. But yeah, so he's the fastest on the grid right now, so we're going to have to see what he can bring up there. And this is what we're talking about. This is the greatest part of this, is the fact is that it is completely open qualifiers. So, you know, we could have some hot driver suddenly turn up. You know, 7 races to go. Sure, you can gain the points. You can get in there. You can try and close the gap as much as possible and try and get as quick as you can. Ogrodnikov, of course, alongside him, the 2-time winner of Laguna Seca, will be ready to go. Of course, I'm not completely on my own. Well, maybe I will be. We'll see how it goes. It's touch and go. But Rene, you're joining me just in time for the start. Well, hopefully, and hopefully everybody at home hears you. I'm not sure they do completely, but we'll try and get to that, and we'll try and whittle through our issues. As I'm going to have to get myself set to drive. There we go. Get the spectator set ready to go, because I want to watch and cover the start as quick as I can. Let's get to the front as I frantically get ready as they're about to go over the line. O'Hara, the man in pole position that started things off. Ogrodnikov chasing him down in terms of points. He is one of the leaders out there right now. Gary Huang, keep your eye on him. The Chinese driver down in 5th place. Davlish Singh on his heels as well. We'll see how this goes as they get ready to go over the line. Green light drops and away they go. The orange cars all leading the start at the moment. O'Hara's going to be the first man. Ogrodnikov into 2nd place. He's going to just nicely funnel in behind them. There was one going wide back there. I didn't quite catch who it was. I'll keep my eye to see who it is. It's Davlish Singh that's out wide in the green Lamborghini further back there, but it's O'Hara that starts things off as they start to sweep through the S's. On my own again, so it's all good. Lawrenson, though, making a move, getting Gary Huang alongside him as they sweep on through the S's, making it look good at the moment as O'Hara keeping himself in a great position in the lead. See if he can hold on to that. Ogrodnikov putting the pressure on him. Rene, a pretty darn clean start overall.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super happy that everyone made it through the first turns, and it seems like even the back of the pack went through there without any issues, but O'Hara is definitely under pressure. Ogrodnikov, as I said already, he's the guy with a lot of points on his hands, and he wants to make sure that even in round 3, he stays the dominant factor. But Suzuka, an easy one to kind of get close, I feel, especially in the S's, but overtaking here, that's a completely different story.
Absolutely can be very tricky, but there are a couple of obviously clear options to try and do that. But as I was mentioned, you know, at the start, Rene, you know, as we get the first lap on the way, it's a greasy, wet, rainy track, and it's only going to get wetter. Look at that, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, rain, 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 more rain coming down. This is going to be very tricky conditions for this race, especially being in endurance.
Yeah, definitely, and we know from Assetto Corsa Competizione and the great dynamic track that it can get worse in terms of rain, it can get better, and currently, if we look at the prediction top right of our screen, that it will get worse across the race. So Lawrenson, he just had a little off already, was running a bit wide there over the curb in the background around 4th, and that will bring everyone, including Wang, right behind him now in an attack position.
Shimatensky's through, got past Ramo Milana there, so Shimatensky obviously had a great performance, second in both Laguna Seca sprint races, getting past Andika Ramo Milana down in 6th place, so great start from him, getting things moving. He does have them all on the back, of course, as they come through the corner. They're going to be hot on the brakes in a few moments as well, setting themselves up through the hairpin, up to that spoon curve.
Yeah, I'd say it's the very first laps now. I mean, it's nearly second lap. So everyone kind of tries to be on the safe side. You don't want to be overall risky and throw it away immediately. As you said, this is a 2-hour race. So it takes a bit longer. There's no second chance like we would normally have in the format here at the Lamborghini The Real Race. So they all know about that. They all want to make sure that the car stays on track and that nothing goes wrong. And it seems like O'Hara can't really spread any gap from Ogrodnikov. It's not getting away just that easily, but they can at least get away from the rest of the pack.
Absolutely. Just having a little peek there, Ogrodnikov, just a little peek around the side there, seeing how it can work. Let's just see if I can check out some movers and shakers, because I have their qualifying positions on my other screen, so I can tell you who and what has moved. Davlis Singh has lost some serious positions. He obviously had an outing right at the start. He's down in 19th. Had actually begun the race in 6th, so clearly there was a collision in there somewhere for Davlis Singh overall. Ogrodnikov, of course, still keeping the pace on O'Hara. Sakharov up in 3rd place, also started there. Lawrenson Huang in 5th. Shimatensky did start in 8th place, as I say, up into 6th place already, so a great start for Shimatensky in there, along with Andika Ramo Milana, of course, who lost that place to him. Any other big movers? Terry Rayton, he's gone up 1 spot at the moment. Shua also going up 2 spots as well, Nigel Shua. So obviously these guys making up ground off Davlis Singh's mistake. And it sucks really, because obviously, as we said last time we covered the APAC region, it was Davlis Singh that got punted off the circuit at Monza as well.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for him, and then finding himself in 18th now, he can at least look at the clock and be like, it's 1 hour 55 minutes, that gives me a bit of time to actually react to it, and he can have a comeback, but it's bad compared to where he started, right? He wants to be completely at the different side of the grid, I would say, but for now he has to find himself in the beautiful green Lamborghini a bit further down the line.
Yeah, at the moment it's looking pretty clean, and I would expect this, as you say, you know, 2-hour endurance. Most people, they're not going to go for those big, crazy, risky moves. They're just going to make sure, keep it posted, stay in that dirty air like Ogrodnikov is at the moment on O'Hara, and just kind of almost force the error, the mental pressure that he's going to keep on O'Hara is going to have to stay defensive, have to try and protect that lead. Because for Ogrodnikov, you know, he is the points leader. You know, O'Hara didn't really score that well last time out, wasn't even in the race at Monza. So for Ogrodnikov, he's happy. He's keeping steep station in 2nd place. I would say for Shimatensky, he's possibly the one we want to try and see if he's going to move up the grid. But for himself, obviously, the fact is he's behind Gary Huang, which is a points competitor to him. So definitely that's where the racing action is most likely to be, and further down the grid. Yeah,
Gary Huang has a lot of tasks on his hands right now. He wants to follow Lawrenson a bit closer, and Lawrenson previously did a mistake in the lap before, but Shermatinsky was able to close that gap, gets closer to actually maybe show himself up the inside now after that longer stretch. But they also have Mulana in the background, and we know that the Indonesian driver, definitely one of those that can have an impact on such a fight, and there's an opening. He will definitely go for it, even though it's early in the race.
Looking great so far, still so wet and greasy, and that may well cause some people to outbreak themselves. Milana's certainly getting close. They are very much packing up there. It's actually Lawrenson that's holding them up, isn't it? It's in 4th place. He's the one that they are sort of starting to stack that train behind. There is definitely a relatively decent gap start to form between Sakharov and Lawrenson. You can see everybody just having a little peek. Wong doesn't peek out so far. He's going to stay there in his yellow and red Lambo. Nice livery. Actually, one of my favorite liveries, I got to be honest. It was what Leo was racing in the Nala region that we covered last time out around Laguna Seca. But I'm just watching the field further back as they all sweep through the S's. Everything's looking pretty clean back there, so I'm going to keep my eye on it. We do have our first pit stop, though, low in the pits. Whether that was a forced issue or not, I couldn't tell you. Did start on the grid in 12th place, so Wukit Low, the Myanmar driver, down in the pits already. Now, I gotta assume, since we're this early on, it was an incident.
Yeah, it's very likely. I highly doubt that someone is taking their pit stop that early in the race and want to go for another 1 hour and 50 while they bunch up again once here at the hairpin. This is Suzuka hairpin, quite a cool one. You come below that bridge, coming around a right kink, and then really have to slam it on the brakes to make it through. And there are quite a few different lines you can take through, and every single time I change it, I feel like that line is even worse than the previous one. So it's quite slow for a racetrack, that part of it. But we have a great group here on our hands. As you said, they're kind of bunched up by Andrew Lawrenson, who seems to be the slowest car, at least for now there, and they're bringing everyone back into the fight, but so far they couldn't find a way around him. And talking about finding a way around, it seems like Ogorotnikov not able to close the gap to O'Hara for now, as it's now slightly above half a second.
Oh, they're all getting hot in it. Lawrenson was a little on the brakes there, and Shimatensky looked to have a little move, trying to get past Gary Huang. He's left himself open to Andika Ramamalana, who's also trying to squeeze on through. That was all coming into that chicane, and that's where I say a lot of the action's certainly going to happen, whether you're going to be quick on the brakes, slow on the brakes, hot on the brakes. Nigel Shua also having a little look there alongside Shimatensky. So Shimatensky's lost the position to Andika Ramamalana, may well lose it to Nigel Shua here as well, who's looking to try and squeeze up the inside, but finally will shut the door. But Shimatensky losing a spot once again to Milano, who he took in the first lap.
Yeah, it seems like Shimatensky wasn't happy about what just happened. We saw him flashing the lights when we hopped on his cockpit perspective, and he's still in this fight, but as he said, he lost against Rama Mulana that position, and he didn't want it to. Look how close he is now. Mulana really under pressure here. That yellow and black Lamborghini Huracán right behind, and he could go for it every single corner, but is these flow-winning S's? It's not like there's a hard braking point where you can really put the car alongside and try to make an overtake, and that's the same until they go into the hairpin now, which is coming up ahead, but I feel Shimatensky was a bit too close.
Let's have a look what happened further down the field. Let's see exactly what was going on there.
Oh, Mulana got spun by Shimatensky. We just saw that while jumping into the replay, but that was the moment between Shimatensky and Wang, and it seems like Wang kind of pressured him off the track and closed the outside there, with Shimatensky losing a lot of time going up the curb, slightly on the grass, but now we see Andika Ramamulana pulling to the side, letting everyone pass, and I fear he got spun around there right at the hairpin. And that changed quite a bit. Look at that. It's now a huge gap behind Gary Wang and Lawrenson, as Mulana is missing, and then Shimatensky there trying to defend himself from Nigel Schwab.
It does seem that maybe through the S-curve, well, I'm not sure where it is, but basically Lawrenson is losing a lot of time to Huang, and that's what's causing the stack. And I think it's at the S. I think that's where he's losing the time. You can see Huang, as you mentioned, big gap between him. Shimatensky has got past, and Andika Ramamalana, unfortunately, now down in 18th position. Huang trying to get shaken through there. Lawrenson trying to shake the toe a little bit. Maybe can get the undercut. I'd be surprised. There's not really any overtaking positions through the S's.
Yeah, it's so hard. You want to stay close, but it doesn't get easier with all that dirty air and not getting enough downforce created by the huge rear wing on these GT3 cars. But due to you being in slipstream, that's not in an ideal spot. We also see Lucas Biz and Daniel Tan fighting behind Nigel Schwa and Shimatensky, but so far not really a move, just a bit of coming closer and making sure that everyone knows, hey, here's someone that wants to overtake.
Let's have a look at what happened further down the field while they just shake out there. I'm assuming this is probably going to be Andika Ramamolana, the issue that happened back there. Let's have a little peek towards it. It does look like it. So Gary Huang in the orange, the yellow and red back there, but
no, that's not the Molana incident, because that's the 100 ADR, if I'm not mistaken, double left-hander before going onto the backstretch. Very fast sector. While the incident happened in the hairpin.
I'm not really sure what we're looking at. They just drove round. Yes, that was that. Drove round the curve, so the spoon curve. So it's like, okay, well, I mean, it was a nice aerial shot of them going around the spoon curve at least. But anyway, back in the race, Lawrenson still got Huang very much underneath his rear wing. And those spoilers certainly are huge as they go as fast as they dare. As fast as they dare. That's what I was talking about. Around that corner 15 is literally how fast you dare to go in the greasy circuit, the greasy setup, of course, with this rain.
Yeah, and it only gets worse with every 10 minutes. We kind of get more rain, so I hope they can all adapt on the fly. That's what it's all about when we're talking about dynamic track. So far, it worked for most drivers, I would say. Which is good. It definitely works for Andrew Lawrenson, who is kind of bunching up everyone, but he's still in 4th position, not lost a single one just yet. And if we're looking at the leader's pace, I mean, last lap by Andrew O'Hara, our current leader, was a 2:05.9, and Ogorotnikov did a 2 minute 6 seconds .0. So they're very, very close up there. They're kind of always around half a second of gap between first and second. So we're kind of static for now, but it will change as soon as tire degradation will kick in over these 2 hours. It's also the question of, did the guys all went for the wet braking pads, or did someone dare to hope for something that like a drying track later?
But I mean, you mentioned those 2 guys, like as you say, O'Hara at 2:05.9, Ogrodnikov 2:06.0 flat. Meanwhile, Sakharov, who's in 3rd, at 2:07. Lawrenson, 2:07. Huang, 2:07. And they're getting close to 2:08s as well. So, you know, they are starting to leave the pack behind. Shimotensky, 2:06.5. Definitely the quickest in that pack at the moment. Shimotensky trying to get himself back. He's back on the rear wing of Gary Huang once again and seeing if he can get past, because he's clearly quicker than these drivers at the moment on this track.
Yeah, but he also needs that open track to actually make that happen, right? But I mean, look how close he is to Gary Huang and Lawrenson right now. He closed that gap really quickly, so he's definitely up for it. But the rain doesn't make it easier. Look at the cockpit shot now. It's like, it is raining out there. Raining cats and mice. Is that even a thing in the English language?
Oh, a drive-through for Tan.
Well,
drive-through. I mean, there's a lot of areas you can cut, and clearly cutting has happened. So Tan getting a drive-through penalty down in 9th place.
Yeah, not really what you want at the start of a 2-hour race. I mean, we're only 15 minutes in so far, and we already got a drive-through. It's costly here in Suzuka. We see Shemetinsky doing a few mistakes here in the last sector of the track, losing quite a lot of time, and with that bringing Nigel Schwab back into this group. Not what he was looking for. Tan already pulled into the pits for the drive-through, so we will see him dropping through now. That's him, and that is a long, long time. Look at that. You're basically as slow as a turtle. Not that I want to discriminate turtles. They're amazing. They look great. They're cute, but they're not the quickest on the racetrack, and definitely not in the pits.
So let's have a look at our race leader currently, O'Hara. Lowe is right in front of them right now. Obviously, they're one of the back markers. We saw him go in the pits earlier on. This could be in a moment for Ogrodnikov to try and make a move, perhaps. You can see he's very much staying right on the back of O'Hara, well aware of how this is going to work out. There's the flags. Blue flags come out, and he will. Lowe just gets out of the way. Clean as you like. Very well done to Lowe back there.
Yeah, kudos to him. I mean, no one wants to be lapped, right? That's a horrible feeling, but it's great to see that the drivers behave the way they should, and he got out of the way, not interfering with any fight for the lead, and that's exactly what you should do at that moment. Let's jump back to Lawrenson and his crew, I would say.
Where is Lawrenson? Where has he gone?
I think he's gone. Like I was wondering.
He's disconnected. I'm pretty sure he's gone. He's complete. I was just looking at, like, we're down to 19. Where's he gone? And yes, that's a shame. That's a shame. He was running in 4th place. Obviously, I got to assume some sort of internet issue either way. But he has absolutely gone. So Lawrenson out of the race. And that means that Gary Huang, of course, moves up into 4th, with Shimatensky now in 5th. Shua and Rayton 6th and 7th. And then further down, Marenko and Clapano getting involved along with Burst. So great to see. That's the current top 10. And yeah, definitely shakes things up now. Gary Huang's going to be the man under pressure.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's no one to keep Shematinsky away from him, it seems. And he will have that long straight now. Might be enough to at least get a bit closer and look into turn 1, but it's not enough. You see that slipstream is not super heavy here. You see they're also not getting that quick on that straight. Love that corner, by the way. Turn 1, you can really throw it in there, and then you want to use the banking on the inside that you can see here. Kind of like a small NASCAR oval, and use that to slingshot around into the assist, and then the assist is basically always that balance between I feel too quick and I kind of go over the front tires, or I think there's way more potential, I could be quicker than that. It never feels right, at least not to me.
Speaking of going for it, Ogorodnikov has got a lot closer to O'Hara here at the front of the pack, very much on the rear wing of O'Hara. I wonder if he's maybe trying to think of a maneuver to try and get around him. It does seem to be starting to stack up behind O'Hara a little bit more here. Looking to try and turn in a little bit tight to try and get that drive exit. O'Hara's just trying to keep a calm race. These two drivers very familiar with one another. But Ogorodnikov definitely starting to pile on the pressure right now. Great to see, by the way, Lowe, obviously the backmarker we were talking about, keeping up with these guys. We did talk about the fact that he did qualify down in 12th place, so certainly a very quick driver in himself. Just had that incident early on and had the pit stop. Ogorodnikov keeping that pressure on.
Yeah, he does so, and it's pretty cool to see that. 20 minutes by now, he's right behind O'Hara. He's not getting frustrated, hopefully. That's another thing. You want to stay focused while Singh, by the way, gets a drive-through as well. So it is a track that is kind of prone to that, I have to say. So yeah, seeing Ogorodnikov just chilling out there, making sure that he stays close to O'Hara. Maybe he's just waiting for O'Hara to finally lose concentration or doing a mistake with the ever-growing rain here.
That's it. There is the pressure of the rain, of course, that could always cause some issues. Just having a flick down the field to see if there's any big issues in there. Obviously, that we were seeing the stack up of Gary Huang earlier on. Shimatensky still very close to him, but certainly not an opportunity to try and make a move. Terry Rayton, though, may well have a little go at Nigel Shua here just before they come into turn 1. Just a little bit further back than they'd like, though, so going through the S's just needs to try and stay on his back. But everybody else starting to separate themselves, starting to settle down. Let's have a look at a replay here. See what happened earlier on. This is Wong putting a move on Chung. Oh dear, trying to go up the inside. That's that little nudge. I think Chung just didn't realise that he was coming. Tried to turn in onto him. Completely didn't read that one well at all. And that was all just down the field, of course. That was down in, what, 12th and 13th they are running at the moment.
And while we had been in replay mode, I just saw Ogorodnikov doing a mistake and going over the grass on the 90-degree turn before heading over to the hairpin. That's why this gap is all of a sudden so big to O'Hara. So it was Ogorodnikov braking first, it seems, in terms of concentration. Lost the rear a bit, and then luckily did not touch the wall, if I saw that correctly on the cameras. Instead, he just went over the inside grass and then returned to the track right before the hairpin. Now he has to make a comeback on O'Hara and then apply pressure. Otherwise, there might be a chance for O'Hara now to finally run away.
Savage Burrow just asking in chat if there's no penalty between 24 and 65, which is obviously Shimatensky earlier on having that collision with Andy Karamalane. I mean, it's really down to the drivers as well after the race. If there is, if it's not picked up in the game as the race happens, it's down to the drivers then to put in a cause, a complaint after the race happens, and obviously there may well be race penalties applied afterwards based on evidence that's given within that. So. Who knows? Who knows? That's the case. As it is, when the race is happening, you just got to get on with it. It's as simple as that. If it happens, you know, and yeah, it's that's the way it is. You know, sometimes it sucks, sometimes it goes your way. Just you know, we only need to look at some serious social media intervention between the obviously the Hamilton and Verstappen issue that happened. Obviously, everybody has their own opinion on these things, but it's down to the race directors to figure out exactly who and was at fault at the time. But as it stands, it does mean that unfortunately Ramandika Ramamolana, by the way, who did get knocked off the track and actually went down to, I think, 16th at the time. He's up to 11th already. He is absolutely blasting his way back up the track.
Yeah, Molana doing a great job here with having that return, and he is a ton quicker than people around him for sure. He's clocking in 2 minutes and 6 on the very last lap, 2 minutes 6 high though, while the cars in front of him are 2 minutes 8 mid, kinda, so he should be able to have that comeback.
Yeah, and it's great to see. Obviously, I covered him for a large portion of the season in a GT series before as well. So Andika Ramamolana, you know, I know he's a very good driver. He's led some of those races as well, so certainly a fantastic driver. So it's great to see him working back there. I think we may be giving him a Castor curse though, Rene, because if I'm not mistaken, didn't he have contact at Monza as well? I think when we were covering him, you know, we were singing his praises, and then I think he got contacted as well in that race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, Monza wasn't an easy one, not for him. So let's hope it runs better here, although you're right. I mean, Castor's curse is definitely a thing. We saw that in the previous races. So let's hope that in this case, it might got overheard.
Nigel Schur just running a little wide there. Terry Rayton sort of getting close back to him down in 6th and 7th. While obviously Shimatensky and Gary Huang continue to race their own race. Ogorodnikov, as you mentioned before, you know, he had that outing. Hasn't really closed the gap back on O'Hara since then. Has sort of backed off, I feel, and realised, okay, let's just settle down and run my own race. Maybe giving himself a scare, I'm not too sure. Certainly is possible, realising, you know, still an hour and a half to go in this one. I think the closest definitely is Terry Rayton. Terry Rayton back on Tachua's back end after Tachua ran wide back at the last curve.
Still trying to keep an eye on all the clouds out there and see how the weather will progress. And it looks like, I mean, it's crazy. It's not yet wet, right? Or horrible, basically. But in 30 minutes, it says the rain will not increase anymore, which is kind of interesting. It's like, that means 30 minutes, we still have an hour to go, which is an entire sprint race, kind of. So what if the track actually dries out? Because then it really depends on, can you drag it long enough to maybe even switch tires later on and really make use of the track that gets better and better with every single lap and them drying out the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing. It was a 5-second penalty added to Wong, so he's obviously not took a try through there. So we'll see how they keep adding up. We had them last time out at Laguna Seca, didn't we? We saw the 10 seconds starting to stack up. So obviously, seriously problems in there. Schur once again a little slower and goes wide on the exit. Same corner once again, and that's where Rayton caught up with him before. So obviously the racing line that he prefers, but it's definitely bringing Terry Rayton back into this one. Let's see how he can be on the brakes here. See whether he's going to be quick enough. He's just going to... I always love to watch that brake pedal. Do they lift? Do they lift? At what point? You know, how ballsy can they be? But then they go through the chicane, and Rayton very much chomping at the bit here. The Aussie wants to get past Nigel Schur.
Yeah, let's see if he can actually find a way around him. While we're on board now with Brendan Chong, who sees Wall right behind, and then Sfarid also closing. I think that will be an easy overtaking. Oh, it won't be. He is able to actually keep...
Oh, Chua's gone wide. Chua's gone wide. Rayton's through. On the first corner, the Rayton was weaving, just keeping the pressure, the mind games on Schur. Which way am I going to go? Schur out-braked himself into the first corner, and Terry Rayton goes through up into 6th.
Yeah, but we stay with JJ Wong because they're now going side by side with 4 cars basically in 2 rows. Kind of looks like a starting grid all over again. And JJ Wong, even though with a 5-second penalty that obviously gets applied to his overall race time, right? He wants to still race. It's not like he's out of this. He needs to get away from this pack, maybe even create that 5-second of a gap. But it won't be easy with Farid and Chong now right behind. Oh, look at that. Once again, Farid tries to go around the outside. Not in the S's, though. I mean, that's kind of very risky, and Wong would need to be super slow to make it. But he applies pressure. He's still there, and Wong is very well aware of that.
Well, let's have a look at the replay of that action. I'm assuming we're probably looking at, yeah, that was Terry Rayton going through. So Shua just out-braking himself, swinging wide, and Rayton through, as you mentioned. But yeah, Wong definitely causing a bit of a backlog here, isn't he? Between these. Obviously, Wong already with a 5-second penalty, so basically all these cars are technically past him already because they're definitely within 5 seconds.
Yeah, but it's not time for you to stop the race, right? You can still make the best out of it. But let's see if it can hold on to it, because you're right, he is slow, and...
Oh, Farid's completely done himself, gone really wide there.
Same for Norman. On the background, was it due to both having the same livery? Is it like a team effort now? Both running a bit wide in the double left, costing time, and also with that giving a bit of breathing space to JJ Wong, who's still there. But as we can see from the rear wing cam, it's not that much. There's a single mistake, him a bit being too early on the brakes or too late on the brakes.
They're all through cleanly. They're all through cleanly. So just keeping on. This is going to be a race that keeps on giving for these guys further down the field, looking to break into that top 10. Of course, Andika Ramalan, the man, has passed all of these drivers at the moment. One going inside left. Let's see. Farid's going to have that drag. You can see Norman's trying to keep the toe onto Farid as they come into the first corner. This is where we saw them outbrake themselves before. And again, oh, they almost did the braking zones completely. Wong hard on the brakes there. Farid having to stamp hard on them. Keep it very much within check.
Yeah, I wonder if he's so much quicker than Wong. Although Wong's best time was a 2:06.3, while Farid's best time is a 2:07.4. So that's over a second of difference. But for now, at least, Muhammad Afik Farid is a lot quicker than JJ Wong. Could be down to damage as well, or just a setup issue now that we have a bit more rain out there.
Well, the top 5 holding station at the moment. O'Hara still being pressured by Ogorodnikov. Sakharov having his own little race at the moment in 3rd place. Gary Huang does have Shimatensky up behind him. They're not too threatening just yet. You know, make a mistake and he's going to be past Terry Rayton, of course. Making ground since he got past Nigel Shua. Definitely starting to space himself out a little bit from Shua, who runs a little wide once again. Now has Mironenko closing the gap on him. Klapano and Burst closing out the top 10. And Dika Ramamalana at the moment lapping about half a second faster than Burst in 10th, and definitely closing the gap on him. So we may see Malana getting involved in this one within the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, Mulano obviously all on his own, at least for now. Having a relaxed part of the track for him, but he wants to make sure that he closes the gap to Lucas Burris, who's going to be in a 10th position and getting back in the top 10, get back into scoring position, so to say. And with them being a group, I mean, we see Mulana there in the background, so it's not super far off for him to get involved here. Could work. While I'm jumping back to JJ Wong, I just want to check if he's still up front, and he is. So Farid didn't found a way around him yet, and probably not happen into turn 1, as that is a bit too much of a gap. You said Ogorodnikov's still applying pressure, but it's not like he can close the gap. It's around a second, which is basically where they left off after Ogorodnikov went into the dirt and got his Lamborghini a bit dirty left and right while overshooting the corner. That probably wasn't the best line from Andrew O'Hara, but with 1 second of a gap, I think it's him now managing this and then see what happens during the pit stops.
Yeah, I think they're happy to hold station at the moment, still lapping very quickly as well in comparison to everyone else. So they are definitely the quickest on the circuit, which is why they're in that 1st and 2nd position. Sakharov of Scott Pass low as well, the back marker. Shemetensky, what has happened here? Hang on a minute. Where has Gary Huang gone? Gary Huang's down in 10th. What has happened there? Shimatensky up into 4th. So Gary Huang's definitely had a problem, obviously, down from 4th down to 10th. So something has happened further down the field.
Yeah, it's like he's right now behind Birds, and before that, we talked about this, right? There was no one between Mulana and Birds, and all of a sudden Gary Huang shows up there. Hopefully we can grab that as a replay for everyone out there to see what happened. That is Huang, Shimatinsky, low. All right, so they were obviously setting up for a lap, as in like overlap. Oh, was it? Oh, it was really hard to tell if Shimatinsky tapped Huang or if Huang just lost traction. I mean, these cars have different traction controls, as in like different levels of traction control, and sometimes you can just choose the wrong one, but Shimatinsky was really, really up close, so he might have tapped Gary Huang.
Yeah, that looked like it may well be a tap, and that may be the second time that car number 24, Shimatensky, is involved in a collision. So to keep our eye on the after race reports to see how that one's looked at by the race director. But Shimatensky at the moment is now closing the gap on Sakharov. That's low that's in front of him. So the back marker obviously down in 19th place. After his problems early on, I had to have a very early pit stop, which is why he's so far back right now. And we'll see how it works out for him. But yeah, not ideal. Gary Huang, let's see what he can do from that, because it puts in him and Andika Ramamalana back in 10th and 11th. Two drivers that were both involved in collisions with Shimatensky, potentially.
Yeah, I wonder if these two could team up, if they could just run through. While we see Gary Huang taking down Lucas Burz quite easily. So he's now up to 8th already, according to the list. I wonder is... Oh no, 9th. Yeah, I was like 8th can't be correct because... No, there is a driver missing. Let me quickly go through the list if everyone is still out there. Nigel Schwa is still out there. Got him the wrong.
Yeah, we lost Lawrenson early on, obviously. That was the man we lost. He was running in, was he 4th at the time? 3rd?
Yeah, but I was just confused because Gary Huang was all of a sudden shown as 8th. And I was like, okay, that shouldn't be the case because he just got one spot of Lucas Burz, bring him to 9th, and then that means that Mulana now once again has Lucas Burz in front of him. But he could try to catch up to Huang and just follow him through, but the gap is still quite big there. We see Mulana coming around the outside of the super quick 5th gear corner. It's a left-hander, so he's not yet in any striking distance. So is Sergei Mironenko. While looking at the back of Nigel Chua.
Shimatensky did a lap, 1 second lap quicker than Sakharov, who's in 3rd place. So now that he's got clean air, he's definitely on it. There's no doubt about it. Whether the racecraft is there or not to get past Sakharov, we'll see, but definitely a much quicker lap for him.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if there are any penalties going his way, right? I mean, we had him involved. I don't want to judge it because I didn't saw it in a camera perspective. Well, be like, okay, I can actually spot if that was a... something that should be penalized or not, but he's certainly someone that will be watched on from the race director and the race marshals, as he was involved in both of these incidents of Gary Huang and Nika Ramamulana that luckily are still in the race. I mean, super happy that we do not have that many DNFs just now, and we still have nearly 1.5 hours to go.
Ogrodnikov just a little bit quicker than O'Hara on that last lap. I was talking about Shimatensky obviously being quick. Someone that is getting quick is Terry Rayton. Terry Rayton now has a bit of clear air. Was even quicker than Shimatensky. Does need to get past Low, the back marker still, but blue flags, as we've already seen, Low happy to get out of the way for these drivers as they come through. Certainly the quicker guys. So Terry Rayton starting to put a hammer down. We'll see if he can keep up now on Shimatensky.
Also interesting, Igor Ogrodnikov down from 1.1 second of a gap to under half a second. So he is quicker than Andrew O'Hara. Last lap was 0.4 of a second he could make up there. When it comes to best laps, both are the only drivers with a 2 minutes and 5 second mid and slightly lower lap time. So that is quite quick, definitely. But let's see if Ogrodnikov can this time actually launch an attack on O'Hara, because since the start, O'Hara was unchallenged.
Yeah, further down the field as well, looks like Huang looking to have a little look at Clapano there. He's very much on his back wing, so it looks like going into turn one, and he almost certainly will make a move here as he looks to try and get past and regain one of his places up into 8th here. Clapano's certainly going to give him the inside line, and Huang will absolutely go through clean as a whistle.
Yeah, that was a good overtaking by Huang, and I also have to give it to Clapano here. He was playing along quite nicely. He also didn't look like he really tried to contest that, though, so I wonder. Shermatinsky, by the way, 15 seconds of a penalty now. Seems like he was deemed...
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he was deemed... I forgot the word. Great start, Renee. Do not start sentences...
He was penalised, basically, for, for the incident, it seems.
What's the English word again? When you're the one... that's held accountable for something that was penalised?
I mean, you pretty much said it. He was being held accountable. It's pretty much what it is.
But there's a word for that, right?
I don't really know which one you're angling for. I mean, Huang was the victim, I guess. It was the aggressor, maybe. Definitely the at fault, no doubt about it, it seems. So Shermatinsky, 15-second penalty for him. That will definitely change things. Absolutely will shake it up there. He's done a great job of catching Sakharov, as has Terry Rayton. Terry Rayton, don't rule him out. He's very much kept well on the back of these guys. And since he's got clear of Nigel Shua, has been making some serious ground up there. Also, I want to look at Andika Ramamalana because he is now on the back of both Burst and Clapano, slowly closing that gap, looking to try and get back in there. Burst also looking to get past Clapano. As you mentioned, Clapano just got out the way for Gary Huang. I wonder if he's carrying a little bit of damage, maybe.
Oh, Shermatinsky around the outside of Sakharov, but not able to get that done and get through with it. But it seems like he will have a shot once again at turn number 1. The Shermatinsky is closely following Sakharov right now, not really getting the speed though to make an overtake immediately. Looking up the inside with Sakharov opening up a bit. Oh, he's touching the curb. That's not great in these conditions. It's a bit slippery outside there, and that should give way to Ivan Shermatinsky, who now moves up into 3rd, even though he obviously has those 15 seconds hanging all over it.
Yeah, I mean, in a 2-hour endurance race, 15 seconds, you can easily shake that. If you can get your hammer down and maybe see how it's going to work for you. Obviously, Wong's got the same situation, so, you know, we'll see how that penalty does work out later on in the race. Obviously, you know, we're still 20 minutes to go until the hour mark, so still plenty of time in this race for that penalty to subside effectively. I don't know if that's the right word, maybe. We'll see how it works for them. Let's have a look at a replay, though, of some of the action further down the field.
Oh, by the way, Mulan are just passing Beers and a very easy maneuver here. This is Shermatinsky against Sakharov. The setup basically coming out of the last chicane onto the straight. I mean, in the chicane, Sakharov was already really struggling to stay ahead, so I guess everyone saw that one coming.
Oh, Low's gone off. He was trying to run wide, and he's actually put himself in the barrier. That's a disaster. So he was trying to get out of the way. The blue flags were waving for him I think it was Clapano maybe, or Marenko that was going past. And in the end has stacked it. So not ideal for him. As his race, his misery compiles even further.
Let's see, Terry Rayton now up to 5th, and looking at the times, he is certainly quicker by over 1.5 seconds than Denis Sakharov.
Oh no, Low just pulled onto the racing line right in front of the burst. Yeah, now he's got out of the way. Okay.
Yeah, not easy now handling all the traffic here. I mean, luckily we only have those 19 cars on it. Just imagine this would be a 40-car grid. Everyone would be quite busy. Terry Rayton now setting up to take down Sakharov and try to follow Shermatinsky. I mean, he sees the penalty of Shermatinsky. He knows that there's a chance to maybe even get a podium spot. But for that, he has to get by Sakharov first. And we're nearly, like, not halfway through, but 19 minutes to halfway through point. So I wonder if we then immediately get the pit stop window.
So Ramo Milana has managed to get past Burst, and now he's right in the back of Clapano, so looking to try and get the move there. That's down in 9th position now. So Indika Ramo Milana, of course, put off the grid earlier on, went down to, I believe, what, 16th, 18th, something like that, has worked his way back up to 10th place, looking to get 9th place from Clapano, and looking like this may well happen soon.
Yeah, Milana really quick right now. He's completely dialed in. I love that. Like a driver that was struggling and not struggling himself, but having that incident earlier, dropping all the way back, and now really making sure that he has that big comeback, good highlight moments on the stream.
Yeah, we're going to have a little replay of, I think this is Low having his off.
I think
not
it was
ideal for him.
Yeah, I think it was touch though. Whoever was overtaking him there gave him a little nudge, love tap, and sending him white there.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be too happy with that. It's like, I'm getting out of the way for you. You just nudged me off the track. That's not very sporting-like. Oh, Clapano's gone wide. Milano up the inside. Looking to try and make it stick. Got to be careful. Should be able to work it here as a long straight now. But they're going to be side by side. But Milano has the racing line.
Yeah, it's looking really good for Milana. Alex Clapano slotting in behind, trying to get that slipstream going, but it's not an easy corner. Look at that. You really need the downforce of the wing. You're running over that AstroTurf. AstroTurf, by the way, on most racetracks in rain, hella slippery. I do not advise you, if you're ever down there to race in real life or to drive on it. You will be very surprised by how slippery it is. Tried that previously already.
Great to see Milano working his way back up there, though. Keeping on track of Gary Huang, obviously in front of him, so both obviously had their instance early on, both looking to try and make that ground back up, and it shows the pedigree of the drivers. You know, these guys that, yes, they qualified in a great position, but it does seem they have the racecraft to get themselves back into those positions once again and keep the pressure on. Speaking of pressure, let's go further up the field. Terry Rayton back on the rear wing of Sakharov. Obviously, that is the battle for 4th and 5th, and as you mentioned, a chance for a podium position with Shimatensky with that 15-second penalty.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's on the hunt now, basically stay inside the 15-second window to make a move onto the podium, and it could be there for Rayton. If he gets around Sakharov in terms of lap times, he definitely can, but now he has to make it on the track, which is a bit harder.
You know, I think the track's getting wetter. Like, it's damp now. We've gone from greasy to damp. And I'm just looking at the lap times. Even of the guys at the front, obviously, yeah, I mean, the tyres are, 45 minutes old now, so definitely starting to wear. But their times have come down a little bit. So they're into the low 208s, whereas they were in like the 206, 207s earlier on. So definitely starting to get some tired tyres, some trickier driving conditions out there, and it may start to catch a few off guard.
Yeah, it's like every few minutes you kind of have to re-evaluate the track again as a driver in terms of your braking points and how much grip there is available for you. And so far, everyone did a good job there, but it won't get any easier. I mean, once again, it shows us that the rain will increase, and that will probably also increase the gap between the drivers that are really, really good in the rain and those ones that are kind of struggling with it.
Oh, Rayton's in a great spot to make a move here on Sakharov. Got himself very close through the chicane as they go over the start-finish line. And now into turn 1. Is he going to try and dive up the inside? No, it's going to stay cold station, I think. Respecting Sakharov, so the Aussie driver not making any rash moves here. Still a good 75 minutes to go in this race. No reason to do anything too rash.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for everyone, and Rayton is aware that he can be a ton quicker than Sakharov, so he might just wait for the chance to pit. The problem is obviously that you can't really play to his strength right now, so in case his pit window is soon, it's probably better for him to get it done immediately, get some clean air again, and then really hammer down those lap times, because currently he is losing time to Shemetinsky. It's a 4-second gap already, just because he can't find a way around Sakharov.
Yeah, and when they had clean air, Rayton was actually doing quicker laps than Shemetinsky, so he's certainly capable of doing it. As you mentioned, it's just a case of getting past. Shemetinsky made it look easy. Sakharov made that error in turn 1. Maybe Rayton was looking to try and hope the same thing happened, but car number 66, Sakharov, is holding strong at the moment, still looking for that podium position to regain it from Shimatensky. Of course, yeah, a lot can still happen. There's a long time to go in this race. Further down the field, everybody looking good. Gary Huang is gaining ground on Mironenko. We do have a pit, though. I mean, Norman in there as well. So, Norman in the pit. Isaac Howard himself. The first pits, maybe, you know, we're in that window. I guess we're starting to get to that time.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's roughly over an hour now and 13 minutes. So you basically run the second tire a tad longer than you did the first one. And Isaac Norman probably just try to undercut, see if he can get clean air. And as I said, that might be the big solution here for Terry Rayton. Just pulling in, getting away from Sakharov, and then really try to hammer down lap times, really try to make up that time.
Burson Clapano fighting for 10th place. They're further down the field, of course, with now Milana past them. He's looking to try and get on the backside of Gary Huang, knowing that he's a fast driver in front of him. Certainly will put a pace. Definitely the rain. I tell you what, it's looking harder, isn't it? I feel like it's looking like it's coming down a lot harder. Those wipers are working hard. It's definitely getting wetter and wetter out there, if it's possible. This track is starting to get very saturated. Terry Rayton still keeping station. Let's have a look at the leaders. We haven't really had a look at those, have we? O'Hara and Ogorodnikov. You know, does tend to be the case when you're that far ahead that you do tend to not get as much screen time as you'd like, but they are pretty much in the exact same spot as we saw them 40 minutes ago.
Yes, like, it's really interesting. These two going at the same pace. We saw Gorotnikov closing the gap a bit after his mistake, but now once again it's kind of stagnating with half a second to go. So it's like half a second difference between those. And yeah, it is static. Nothing happening there. Great drive by both of these drivers. O'Hara and Gorotnikov doing an awesome job. But so far, O'Hara did not have to defend his position at all since the start, and he will be quite happy about that. He was probably expecting way more pressure for Gorotnikov, but on the other hand, because he doesn't have to defend, he still has to nail those lap times, otherwise he might lose it.
Sakharov just a little wide there, gave Terry Rayton a thought to maybe have a look. It's just going to stay on the racing line behind him at the moment as they once again come close. Rayton looking at the inside again as they approach the chicane. Going to be hard on the brakes. Perhaps go for a bit of a cut through. Let's see. Doesn't work out for him. Trying to keep that pressure on Sakharov as they go over the start-finish line now. But Rayton definitely putting the pressure on.
Yeah, we see Terry Rayton like right behind in that aggressive yellow Huracán, and green, by the way. Not yellow, but not looking up the inside into turn one. So he will wait once again.
Oh, he messed his braking up there.
He lost a bit of time, that's for sure. And the S's will make it easier, right? Due to all that dirty air and finding a way to stay close to Sakharov. I wonder if he's just running into Sakharov always at the wrong time on the track.
I did just spot actually back in the S's talking about catching. Gary Huang is now onto Mironenko, so he's managed to gain the ground there. So, and as you say, going through those S's, you're definitely going to get closer, and it seems to have worked out well for Gary Huang. So now he's starting to gain that ground. The man that was running up in 4th place before being punted off by Shimatensky is trying to regain the positions.
As he said earlier already, it's like we are at damp now, but rain will only increase, it seems. Kind of typical British weather. We should be very used to that.
This is. I mean, this is actually pretty typical for Suzuka, I would say. Like every time I remember seeing Suzuka, it's generally a wet race of some variety. But we haven't had too many dry races there for a while. But yes, British weather. Well, I mean, actually, you know what? We could say German weather right now. After the floods that we've had here, definitely had a lot of rain over the last week.
That is true. Gary Huang in the background, just quickly checking in with him as he has Mironenko right in front. will be able to get closer. I mean, last lap, Wang was quicker by over half a second, nearly a second actually, than Sergei Mironenko. So this could potentially be a move soon. Even a bit closer than Terry Rayton. Rayton not really able to do anything, because once again basically the same distance that happened in the previous lap. Look at it. On the braking, that's where he did the mistake last time around.
Both O'Hara and Ogrodnikov now have passed, what, 10, so that's 16th they've managed to get past. So they're really putting in some quick times, the two front runners. Definitely separating themselves from, I can't even see Shimotensky down the back straight there. That's how far ahead they are. It's not even in vision. He's quite, yeah, he's a long way back, isn't he? So they really have separated themselves by a long margin. What, they're 1, 2, 3, 4 corners ahead?
Yeah, it's quite a big margin. So we obviously see more of that happening now going into the last hour. Maybe it kind of changes when we have the pit stop window, because we only had 3 drivers pulling in so far. And midway point is nearly reached with 7.5 minutes to go. Let's see if they all pit just around 1 hour to go. Terry Rayton now has Nigel Schwarr also in the background. So Nigel getting closer as Rayton can't find a way around Shakarov. Well, that will open up this fight again, and maybe even Gary Wang can get involved here, but with 7 minutes and then starting off the pit stops, I doubt that we see this really becoming a huge fighting group. I would expect a driver to try to do the undercut first.
Yeah, but they are starting to stack up, aren't they? This is the thing, like, Sakarov's definitely backing them up. Like, now, like, it was a case of Sakharov and Rayton were way ahead, but look, Nigel Schuer's on the back. Now you can see Marenenko, Huang. They're all starting to stack up behind Sakharov. Sooner or later, something is going to give within this pack. Like, as you mentioned, whether it's a case of someone decides, you know what, I'm sick of being stuck in this pack, I'm going to go for the pits, or whether somebody makes a bit of an aggressive move.
Yeah, we're just making a mistake due to all that pressure, and there we go. Rayton pulling into the pits, opening up the space on this camera behind Denis Sakharov, so he can finally breathe again, and we might see hopefully a very quick Terry Rayton coming out of the pits and trying to make up for everything he lost, kinda.
I feel like it's the right decision. I feel like he was stuck, he was losing time behind Sakharov. Like, he was as quick as Shimotensky, and Shimotensky is gone. He got past Sakharov and he is gone. Look how far ahead he is on the S right now. He is, what, 1, 2, 3 S's ahead? That's incredible. He's completely left them behind. And I feel Terry Rayton certainly was quick to come in now. Yeah, there's an hour and 5 to go. You know, you're only losing an extra 5 minutes on your tyres. I don't think it's going to really count, especially on the tyres they're going to be using for this race. And I think that's absolutely the perfect time for him to get in there. Of course, it does matter where he comes out. Obviously, he wants to have clean air when he comes out. That could be a problem if he gets stuck behind someone. But I feel he's quick enough that he will be able to pass them.
I mean, Rayton lost a ton of time. Like, his lap times previously were at around 2.7, 2.8. And the last lap of Sakharov and Nigel Schwarr, so basically the cars in front and on the back of Terry Rayton, did a 2:11. So that is a huge gap by now to what Shemetinsky is capable of doing, because he's sitting on a 2:09 on the last round. So Terry Rayton needs that free space that he has now, and really spread his wings basically, and trying to find his pace from earlier in the race.
Yeah, and he's come out, he's got completely clean air. That's just about perfect for him. So currently down 14th position. Big clear track ahead.
Oh, look at that.
He'll be able to get his foot down.
Milana is on the back of Gary Wang, while Wang is not able to close the gap just yet to Mironenko. So I was expecting Wang to maybe be quick enough to get away from Milana, but nope, not happening. So we might see a few more pit stops in this group now as well, just to break that up and not punch it up. There we go. Mironenko and Wang at the same time pulling into the pits. Milana stays out, and Nigel Schwarr and Sakharov obviously stay out.
So we'll see how that will shake out. This is when things get very interesting. Does the undercut work? Does going longer work? Who is going to benefit? Do they get the clean air? For Terry Rayton, he came in, he got himself completely clean air. Look at that, Gary Huang's making sure he stops in front of Mironenko, tries to go alongside each other. They finally do pull up. Don't forget, Shimatensky has to serve that 15-second penalty, so he's going to be in there for quite some time. We'll see where he shakes out as well.
So Rayton now in the last sector. Brought the quick left-hander through the last chicane. We still got Wong out there. He's still in the pits. So let's see if they make it.
That's one we look at in that replay. So let's have a look at that if it comes up.
Oh,
I'm watching Terry Rayton going over,
Wong
so
comes
he's
out
past
now.
them.
Is Terry Rayton through? I think he is.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I mean he was ahead of Huang and Nala anyway. It's a case of when he comes in, where he is with Sakharov, because it was Sakharov he was directly behind him when Sakharov goes in the pits. But Rayton getting past them obviously is great, and it keeps him still all that clean air ahead of him. So now Gary Huang behind him, kind of in similar station, but I think Huang has took Mironenko in the pits if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. Mironenko was in front of Huang before they went to the pits.
So now, that's a case of, did he go, I mean, they would have fueled up there. Did he go light on fuel? Did he go longer on fuel? Like, I guess we'll find out in an hour and 2 minutes time. Oh, Ogorodnikov's coming in the pits. Okay, so second place, Ogorodnikov. Nigel Chua also in the pits as well. So he was right up behind Sakharov as well. That puts Randika Ramamalana now up behind Sakharov as well. This is going to get very interesting to see where they all come out. For Ogorodnikov, his gambit is now he's in. Can he get out, go fast enough that he can get ahead of O'Hara? He was running close to him for the last 59 minutes. He certainly has it in his capabilities. Out the pits he comes.
Yeah, it will be quite interesting now if they ran... They didn't run wet tires earlier, as they had red outlines on the tires, so they were running softs on the greasy track, which is totally fine. Depending on the track temperature, it's the same as it is in real life. Like, you see the rain, but you do not really feel it yet, and the slick tire would still be quicker, as the rain tires tend to basically clog up immediately. So running a wet tire on a warm track that doesn't have water standing on it, you're ruining it in just 1 or 2 laps. Because it kind of starts to create new bubbles on it, and it has the rubber sticking all over it and not run through anymore for the water.
Ruins the grooves.
Yeah, so all of that is done really, really quickly. So they were running slicks earlier, and now they're running wet tires, at least a few of them. So you see Sakharov, he is on wet tires, Sakharov, and he wasn't pitting just yet. So that means he also started in wets, which means he gets quicker the worse the rain gets. And it was kind of the way for Ogorodnikov to change his tires to wets, because I'm pretty sure I saw him with red tires before.
Milana having a look at Sakharov, having a little peek as they go through the chicane. So definitely going to be having a look. Now, do they go in the pits? That's the question. Andika Milana definitely being held up by Sakharov now, so we know he's a quick driver. They both come in the pits.
Oh, they have the rim colors, not the tire colors. My mistake. That's what I was saying earlier. completely ignored the rim colors for now. So sorry, that was on me. But you can run on damn track. You can definitely run the slicks.
O'Hara didn't come in, so O'Hara's staying out right now. So Ogorodnikov has come out in 6th place right now, with all obviously everyone in the pits. He's going to be passing all those, so it's really just O'Hara and Clapano that will be ahead of him. There we go. As he goes past the pits, it does move up there. So Clapano's staying out, O'Hara's staying out. So O'Hara's trying to run long, which will keep him the fresher tires. Now, he has got clean air. Let's have a look at time-wise. So O'Hara's last lap, 2:09.5. 205. His best has been a 205.5, so he's a long way off his best. Obviously, that was when the track was just greasy, not damp. For Ogorodnikov, where is he running at the moment? We'll see when he goes over the line, because obviously it's a 251 because he had the pit stops in there. We'll see whether he's definitely going to put it down. They've both got clean air. Ogorodnikov on the quick lap. Has the undercut paid off? We will find out whenever O'Hara decides to come in them pits.
Yeah, it will take a while now to sort itself out, basically. Mulana, though, wasn't able to overtake in...
He has.
He had. Oh, well, that happened after the pits.
Well, he's definitely got out ahead of Sakharov.
Yeah. By a lot, actually. Quite surprised.
Wait, no, I don't think he has. No, he hasn't. No, he has not. It's just that that's the timing tower messing with us. Sakharov is ahead of Mulana.
I was sure I saw Mulana coming out of the pits
look at
a
this,
lot
though.
later.
Look at this. Shumatensky is ahead of Sakharov. Oh, there's a car turn. There was a car turned on this side there. What was that? There was I didn't see who it was. I'm trying to see who was tumbling down the timing screen. But
no, it was one of the front runners. I'm pretty sure it was one of the front runners.
Yeah, it was a blue car, so it was either possibly Chung. It's not Chung. Who has one of the other blue cars? Burs or Marinenko, maybe? No, they're both running fine.
So Shumatinsky, even though he had the 15-second penalty, he's still within the top 8 even.
Yeah, he's still ahead of Sakharov.
Yeah.
Which is who he'd overtaken. But Nigel Chua is ahead of him. Terry Rayton is ahead of him. Gary Huang is ahead of him. Gary Huang, the person that he actually punted off the circuit and got that 15-second penalty for, by the way, is quite far ahead of him. Terry Rayton with a good run as well. But still, by the way, O'Hara yet to come in the pits.
I wonder, it's like, Terry Rayton was in front of Gary Wang, so he definitely lost the position. Because Gary Wang is 5th now.
Well, for the main thing is to look at Sakharov, because obviously Sakharov was leading the pack with Terry Rayton behind him, Gary Huang behind him, Nigel Chua all behind him. Sakharov's actually come out, so he went longer, and it's cost him. It's cost him. Huang, Rayton, Chua all come out ahead of him. Yep. So it's absolutely cost him. So I just wonder, is O'Hara making a mistake here? As Ogorodnikov maybe stole himself the lead here? I'm really interested to see how it's going to play out. In a moment, a 2:08.3, Ogorodnikov's last lap. O'Hara's last lap was a 2:09.6. So Ogorodnikov a second a lap quicker. I think O'Hara's made a mistake.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, depends on the track temperature and if they really might have not switched to wet tires, right?
So this was Marinenko. I think it's Marinenko off. This is what we were talking about earlier on. You know, just simply catching a tire on the curb. It can be slippy, and if you put that foot down a little too hard, you're just going to lose that back end. And that's Marinenko, I believe, on new tires as well.
It's like I say, I mean, most drivers tend to use wet tires when they see rain at the starting grid, basically. But the track was dry enough to run slicks. And I just wonder if O'Hara is trying to run it too long now while everyone else changed to wets. That's why I'm having an eye on the lap times as rain is increasing once again. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone was on wet tires right from the get-go. But it was definitely a possibility to run different compounds here.
What were you on, Lawrenson? I see you in chat. Obviously, you were in 4th and you had that disconnect and things were going great. You're still 4th in spirit in all our hearts indeed. But were you running on wets at the start? I got to assume. I mean, it was greasy at the start, right? It wasn't damp. It was greasy to begin with. It's definitely going to get wetter and wetter and wetter. So we'll see how it works out. Nigel Chua having a look at Terry Rayton down in 6th and 7th place right now. Rayton's going to go wide. Chua looking up the outside, trying to work around the outside of the chicane. He's going to have the inside now. This is going to be a tough drive, though. Rayton should be able to hold on.
Yeah, look at that. Look how close it is. Terry Rayton once again gets out of this as the winner. A little bit of flashing by Nigel Chua. Let's see.
So Lawrence was on slicks.
Oh, you see, slicks. So I might be right. They started on slicks. And they might switch to wets now.
Oh,
look at that. That was a bit of a dive, I would say. by Nigel Chua, and he clips Terry Rayton there into turn 1. I mean, if we look at classic decision making, as in like if your car is not alongside previously, then it is a dive bomb. Then I would say this kind of was one, as Nigel Chua really launched from the back into this, and with that, Terry Rayton, they lost a ton of positions, a ton of time, not a ton of positions, luckily, but time. Good to see though that Andrew Lawrenson is telling us he planned to run them about 55 to 60
Davlish
minutes.
Singh off the circuit as well. What's happened there? Davlish Singh down in 17th. He's having a torrid time, no doubt about the circuit. He's still down in 17th place.
So when rain really sets in, 2.08 should be about the crossover point. Okay, so I was right. It's like it's really horrible to talk about these possibilities as as kind of a race driver, and then be like, I might be completely wrong, but because I can't see what they were starting on. At least Lawrenson was on those slicks, so that might be the case for everyone.
His last lap 2:10. He's ran it way too long, I feel.
Yeah, but it could be that now. It could be that Andrew O'Hara is still on those slicks.
Yeah.
And now going way too long while everyone else is on wet tires. We see, let's see, Ogorotnikov last lap 2:08. Shemetinsky 2:08. Shakarov 2:09. So they're all quicker besides Terry Rayton. Yeah. But he obviously had the incident was at the beginning of his lap now. So depending on the skills of the driver, Civil Choice will burn the edges of the threat locks. Yeah, that's what we talked about. That you clock up those wet tires. I have one of those sets still in the garage from the last race that a driver destroyed because he wanted to have wets, and I was like, no, it's not get the track to have wets. What's happening there in the background between Clapano and Chua? Yeah, I told him that it's a bit too early for wets, but he wanted wets, and now you can see a beautiful blocks on it that look absolutely horrible.
Obviously on your Lamborghini in the garage.
I would love to have a Lamborghini Huracán GT3, but that's not really my range yet as a race car.
Ogrodnikov is now doing a 2 seconds a lap quicker than O'Hara.
Yeah.
So I feel that O'Hara's just left it way too long now, and he's actually in danger of losing positions because Gary Huang obviously back up into effectively what will be third place once Wong, who's also going long, by the way. He's doing a 2:12 at the moment. Wong is out there. Actually, Huang's only doing a 2:10. So maybe it is just Ogrodnikov. Everybody else looking at 2:10s. So maybe just Ogrodnikov is actually just smashing the laps out. If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at all the other times, and yeah, it does seem so. Randika Ramamolana also doing a 2:09 in there. Sakharov 2:09. Shevchenko 2:09s. Gary Huang's 2:10s. It is actually just Ogrodnikov that is smashing out the laps, and that is going to cost O'Hara.
Look at that! Chua just went around the outside on the hairpin and is actually taking down Alexis Clapano here. What a move! I thought he was overshooting the corner, not really getting the apex, but instead he just ran around the outside where he can make use of a bit more traction as the corner's not that tight, and then he took down Clapano to move up to 9th position. That was impressive by Nigel Chua. Wow, what a move.
Making up for the torpedo he did on Raid earlier on. But Clapano actually looking to have a little go back, but he's not close enough to get involved. So Terry Rain back down in 8th place. And Dika Ramalana, by the way, keep it up onto Sakharov as well. So he's looking to try and get in there. Shevchenko just ahead of him as well. Mishra getting out of the way, so blue flags for him. So well done on there. Ramalana just too far away on Sakharov to get himself a challenge this time out. Just has a little look, just to put the pressure on. Shevchenko 2:08.9, so quick lap from him. In terms of the two that have still yet to pit, it is Wong and O'Hara. O'Hara just going over the line, so a 2:10 last lap, 2:10 again. So 2:10s at the moment is what he's running on, and that is surely giving Ogrodnikov the lead. He's still running 2:08s. As I say that, as I look at Ogrodnikov, he had just run wide.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not quite sure about Andrew O'Hara. Like, did he forget about the mandatory pit stop? Or is he really running a completely different strategy or wants to see if the weather changes the next 30 minutes, right? I mean, it's just increasing, so it's very unlikely that there is a chance for him to run slicks on the next stint. I'm not quite sure.
I mean, maybe when we can see the track, obviously he's going to get wetter. Maybe he's waiting to move on from damp to wet, and then he's going to get right. Now I've got, like, everybody else is running on obviously degraded wets that, as you say, have basically become slicks almost. 2:09.00. So again, another second and a half faster for Ogorodnikov as he goes over the line. So definitely making massive ground up. The question is, this Gambit, like, is he waiting for the track to get wetter so he can throw those wets on and then smash out the signs? But my God, he's going to have to make up so much time that he's losing to Ogorodnikov now.
Yeah, I think that's not doable for O'Hara. Like, even if he wants to wait for the weather and really hit it with the wet tires, he's already losing too much time per lap. So, I wonder, I mean, how big is the gap by now?
Oh, what is going on back there? There's a big accident. Klapano, Mironenko low. Burst gets through. That was a 4-car accident. Burst has managed to make his way past them, but that was a couple of back markers getting involved with Klapano, Mironenko obviously were 10th and 11th, were running there. Nigel Chua also looking to get past Terry Rayton at the moment, so once again, the similar, in fact, the first corner as well, so definitely going to have to look at a replay of that. It was a 4-car pileup, and Chua has been given a 15-second penalty for his torpedo on Terry Rayton. Yeah, that will hurt once again now, especially now that he is right behind Terry Rayton. A lot of that chat is saying O'Hara knows what he's doing. I'm not questioning that. I just try to figure out what he's what he wants to do, but we probably get a replay now of what just happened. So let's see. Oh, he's just lost it. He's lost it, and he's caught everyone else in the process. Oh no! Yeah. So there's nothing they could do there. So that was. I didn't see who it was that lost it there, but he's collected everyone else in the process. That's disaster. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I mean, he was just a passenger in his old car, basically, so not much he could do there. Unfortunately, it took others with him. So Terry Rayton does have Nigel Chua up behind him, but as you say, 15-second penalty for him. O'Hara in the pits. It's happened. It's finally come in. Let's see how this is going to shake out as I get some real-life vehicles getting involved near my microphone. You should not allow people to just drive through your I know, through my living room. Yeah. I know, right?
So, O'Hara is behind Ogorodnikov by 7.8 seconds. That's massive.
Yeah, just left it a little long. But now, with the fresher wets for 45 minutes, they're going to be 10, maybe like 12, 13 minutes newer than Ogorodnikov, who came in close to the out. It's really a case of now, what can O'Hara lap at? He's got a massive clear track. There's no doubt about that. It's a case of simply hot lapping as quick and as clean as he can.
Yeah, I wonder if that will work. I mean, it's 16 seconds more or less. So that's a lot more than anticipated. And I'm not quite sure if he can overcome that. I mean, that's a big gap. With 45 minutes, there's still enough time. Yep, agree to that, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, the biggest problem is that Ogorodnikov was staying with him even in the dirty air for the entirety of the first hour, wasn't he? So it's no doubt about it, Ogorodnikov is a very quick driver out there. But that does bring Gary Huang into third place now. So back where he was with Shimotensky up behind him again. So this is basically position as was. Once before Shimotensky had knocked him off the track, Shimotensky took a 15-second penalty for that, but he's got himself back into fourth place now with Sakharov and also Andika Ramamalana in sixth place, who's just looking to get past Sakharov. I just caught it in the background there and I can't find them. Damn it, I'm going through every car but Malana, and he didn't make it stick.
Yeah, Malana is still right behind and wasn't enough just yet to make that move, but it's certainly close, and he makes sure that Shakarov is at least threatened, I would say, for now. Klapano, by the way, got... now I need to consider, is that a SG13? That is... Oh, wow! Shakarov losing it on the curb. We sat there so often today. Milana running a bit wide. He was probably scared there. Luckily, he wasn't catched by Shakarov, but that was incredible. I mean, Shakarov at least back on track. Seems like he didn't hit anything, but that was a slip on the curbs. We're not saying that just for fun that they get slippery, especially now with the track being damp and more towards wet. And then Shakarov had to pay the price for that.
Is that speeding the pits? The SG13, I think. Oh, it's a stop-go for 30 seconds. That's a
yeah. That was what I was looking for. Stop and go and then standing for 30 seconds, yeah.
So, a lot of penalties. So, I don't know what it's from. We didn't get to see it, but I know he was obviously involved in that incident. Maybe Klapano... I mean, it wasn't him that caused the accident, I think. But either way, let's have a look. So Milana through after Sakarov's incident. It does mean that he's now free to chase down Shimatensky, who is also chasing down Guy Huang. So we've got a bit of a sprint race on our hands now as we close the next 40 seconds.
Yeah,
40 seconds, 40 minutes.
Like, that will be a proper sprint, 40 seconds. But with what is it, 14.1 seconds now of the gap. Let's see what the next time they come over the line. So Ogorotnikov comes over the line now. Previous lap was a 2:08.6, and this is a 2:11.3.
Definitely a lot slower, yeah.
And O'Hara will now cross the line to 16.8 on the previous lap and a 2:08.2 on this lap. So that's 3 seconds the last lap, but I'm not quite sure if that's because Ogorotnikov is really running, still running the wrong tires, or really slow, or was just a mistake. Like, I don't expect the gap between those being just down to the age of the tires. That would be a bit too crazy.
So a replay of Sakharov here. This is where he just lost it. That's what we're talking about. And oh yeah, he tried to collect it. And woof, very nearly collected Randika Ramamilana. Good catch though to spin it back around.
Yeah, it's like he basically got caught off guard by the counter drift. Like it goes towards the left first, then he catches that one, and then the entire weight shifts around once again, and then there was absolutely no chance for him.
Oh no, Ogrodnikov is getting held up here by Shung. Will get past in the end, but definitely a lot of flashing lights, quite a few blue flags waving at him, so definitely lost time there. Obviously that's very important with O'Hara on the charge.
Yeah, definitely. He needs to stay quick by now if he wants to take the win here, because O'Hara is on the hunt, down to 12.6 seconds now. And let's see the next time they come around. I mean, they are now in Spoon, if I'm not mistaken, and this is O'Hara coming into Spoon. Double a left-hander, or a long left-hander, depending on how you want to see it and how you drive it. And then this long stretch towards the quickest corner here. We just quickly shift down and then throw the car into this. Believe in the tires and the aero kit. And it drags you around. And that's also, by the way, the curb that just caught Shakarov off guard. So Ogorotnikov better be aware of it. Comes around to clock in another lap time. 2:11.3. That was the previous lap. And now it's a 2:09.4. So definitely it was down to a mistake by Ogorotnikov, not down to the performance of the car or the tires.
Well, we didn't see whether there was any more big back markers involved, but it's a 2:08.3 for O'Hara, so definitely quicker, still a second quicker.
Yeah, but it's only a second while Ogorotnikov had to deal with traffic, right? So I don't see a huge chance here. That's 2 minutes per lap. We got 40 minutes still to go. So they can do 20 laps, kinda. Let's say that, for easy purpose. And if he would be quicker by a second every lap, then yep, he gets him halfway through the rest of the remaining time. But if he isn't, and it's only like half a second or whatever, then it really gets close. And like I said, O'Hara needs to be quick every single lap.
Gary Huang trying to shake the toe of Shimatensky, who is closing the gap now. And this is obviously where the accident happened last time. Shimatensky was given a 15-second penalty for collision in the back of Huang, sending Huang down to 11th place at the time. He's managed to work his way back up into 3rd, so great drive from Gary Huang. We know he can do it, obviously 2-time winner at Monza, both sprint races there, but Shimatensky right on the back of him now through the S's.
Yeah, what will be interesting, I mean, Shimatensky, even with a 15-second penalty, he's now right behind Gary Huang again. We have a bit, I think wipers are not working for me in spectator view. Pretty much sure that he has the wipers on.
Yeah, they both got. Actually, no, Shimatensky does not have the wipers on. You are correct.
Is he really? I mean, look at this. Kind of hard.
You know, he's got to the point where it's just slicking off the window. You know, you just think, you know what? I don't need it. I don't need it. But I tell you what, maybe it's saving him time because he is all over the back of Gary Huang now, and that is slowly bringing in Andika Ramanalana as well. Yeah,
we see Milana in the background, but I'm pretty much sure Shimatensky can take down Gary Huang earlier than this. But yeah, they will all run basically towards the finish line. We might see ourselves with the last minutes of the race being absolutely furious because O'Hara is down to 10.5 seconds, so he's definitely still gaining time on Gorotnikov. So these two probably fight towards the end of the race. Shimatensky sees a chance for him to even be on the podium with a 50-second penalty, which would be massive, to be honest.
Hard on the brakes through the chicane. Try not to cut too much. You will feel those curbs, no doubt about it. And Huang actually gained quite a bit of time up there through that chicane. Look at that. Look at that gap he's just got himself out of that chicane. Shimatensky was right on the back of him going into it. So Huang's done enough to basically shake him off, and he should be good for another lap here. And Shimatensky once again on the chase. Speaking of the chase, let's have a look. O'Hara, 2:08.3 last lap. Ogorodnikov, 2:09.7. He's coming.
Yeah, definitely, but he has to keep that up, right? So it's also a question of if we say, okay, he's currently quicker due to the tires being a bit fresher, then is Ogorodnikov so long out there that his tires drop off instead of them staying in the same window? Because the tires are only a lot quicker in the beginning, right? So they will close this gap between the tire performance until Ogorodnikov's tires really start dropping. So I wonder if that is actually happening or not.
Yeah, I mean, there is still quite a bit of time. For example, Ogorodnikov now coming into the chicane, just going through that chicane now. O'Hara just coming around the double left-hander and now coming into the chicane. So there's quite a gap still. Quite a lot of time to make up with, what, 35 minutes to go in this race. Still plenty of time. And let's not forget O'Hara, if he does catch him, he's still got to try and pass him, and I don't think that's going to be easy.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Like, really passing him is a completely different story, and Ogorodnikov is a great driver up front, and he wants to lead the championship coming out of this.
Oh, look at this battle. Look at Huang, Shimatensky, and Milana. Milana's caught right on the back of these. So this battle is happening. Shimatensky, we saw him lose ground to Huang. They're coming into the chicane once again. Shimatensky realizes, I got to tuck in here. I'm going to lose my spot to Milana as he tries to get back on that racing line. Looking like a bit of a slower approach from Gary Huang this time around as they now come through that chicane. Huang was much quicker through it last time out. See how Shimatensky stays on him this time. Much closer, and also Milana very much on their back.
Yeah, definitely bringing this fighting group back in action, I would say, with Gary Huang. Now it's the typical braking slipstream. Looks quite interesting here from start to finish straight. But not enough yet for Shimatensky to actually launch an attack. And Andika Ramanalana basically waiting for that, right? I mean, that might open the door for him if they do a mistake or if they're too slow while fighting. And then all of a sudden, Milana could look at a podium spot after an awful start due to the accident he just had.
I mean, it's quite ironic that Shimatensky is between the two cars that he's knocked off the circuit. It's like, Both Andika Ramanalana and Gary Huang have been sent down to about 11th and 10th by Shimotensky. This time around, Shimotensky again having a look up the inside of Huang. Huang goes a little wide, keeps on that racing line. Is it going to pay off? Shimotensky around the outside. He's gone too wide. I think Ramamalana's going to make his way through here. And Shimotensky almost muscled off the track there by Ramamalana. Love the move. Get the elbows out. Shimotensky goes down a position.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Milana went for it immediately.
Oh, Milana's
might also set himself up to overtake Gary Huang, but not happening up the hill. He was missing the speed coming out of the hairpin as he was a lot further to the inside, so not really running the car as wide as he should to have to drive up the hill. But this fight is definitely on. I mean, look at the distance between Gary Huang and Shimotensky and Milana. I mean, Milana, the grey car in between, is obviously not updated until they cross one of the timing lines again. So it is the grey car of Milana and then Shimotensky behind, who thought he can take down Gary Huang, but instead found himself now at the back of this fighting group.
Racing line in the dirty air. It's so scary going round there. Downshift, as you say, trust the tyres, but trust the aero as well. Got to make it work. Milana may well get pushed out here. Shimotensky trying to dive up the inside, not going to work out. He tries to keep it close, and now Milana's going to have to be defensive. That's buying time for Gary Huang, who seems to have a better line through that chicane. It always seems quickest of the two. So great line from him, and now Milana having to be defensive into turn one.
Yeah, let's see if Shimotensky can set up for an overtake here. No, he can't. Wasn't close enough just yet. But he obviously has to roll speed, I would say, to be with them and to maybe even overtake them. But it's not an easy fight. It's the last 32 minutes. So the last crazy half an hour starts. Oh, Shimotensky a bit slow there, I would say. It's a bigger gap now, and Shakarov even comes closer.
I tell you what, there is a visible gap close between O'Hara and Ogorodnikov. In terms of time, again, it is just under, or just over 1 second, sorry, O'Hara and Ogorodnikov. He is now possible to see him in the distance, so definitely closing in. Let's have a look at the replay here of the overtake of Ramamalana sneaking through on Shimotensky.
I mean, look at that. They were both side by side. It was Shimotensky actually not really being forced off the track, but running a bit wide, doing a mistake there, and then Milana was like, man, it's not like I'm not okay with touching your car after what just happened. Setting aside, but I don't think there was any problem by Milana. He had the inside. Shimotensky came back onto the track. They touched a bit, but not too bad for Shimotensky, so I think that was all fair and square.
So, what happened to Terry Rayton? He's down in 14th position. Clearly, was he involved? You know what it was. He was probably one of the cars that got caught out by that mistake, that back marker making the mistake. I bet that's what it was. Yeah, because he was running well, obviously, along with Nigel Schur, so he's down in 14th. So Terry Rayton, Huang's made a mistake. Big mistake there. Lost the back end. Does manage to catch it just in time. It buys time for Ramamalana to go through. Shimotensky now all over the back of him.
Yeah, look at that. All of a sudden, we got a change again here for the podium as Gary Huang is losing his spot. And Ramamalana with a great comeback after being sent off track. Now on the podium position. Nigel Schur, by the way, 15-second of penalty on 8th. So that will probably send them back to 9th. That was really close between Shimotensky and Huang.
He had a wheel on the grass, and I thought, don't start braking now. That is going to go very wrong for Shimotensky. But yeah, luckily, just pulled off it before he had to go hard on the brakes. That was close.
Well, interesting also that Shakarov is now closing the gap, so there will be another one. And I wonder if Shimotensky's not using cockpit perspective, and that's why he's not turning on his wiper. He doesn't need it.
That's a good thought. That would be interesting. Let's have a look at the replay of the Huang's mistake, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the classic. I mean, it is more slippery. You're really relying on the outside tires there on the curbs, and he lost the rate a bit, but great catch from him, ensuring that the car is not spinning around, and with that, he only lost 1 position instead of more.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Owen, in chat. An absolute magnificent drive from Milana, that's very close going on behind them. Huang just, he always runs it a little wide there, and has brought Shumatensky and Sakharov right into this side-by-side into the corner. Shumatensky looking to get up the inside on the S-curve. I'm not too sure if it's going to quite work out for him. Huang's going wide, and Shumatensky will indeed be through. Sakharov may well go through as well. Gary Huang having a bit of a disaster in the last 2 laps as he continues to run wide. Sakharov now on the back of him.
Yes, like that's the problem once you lose your rhythm, right? You start thinking about what just happened and you wonder if you have to adjust something and you're not as dialed in as you need to be and your concentration is not fully on just what you're doing, but instead you're kind of busy with what happened. But look at Shumatinsky having the same issue. He was fearing he loses the rear end on the curb, so he just ran wide to avoid that, but you also have to keep in mind that he can't get too many cuts. So, this is really, really hard right now. Everyone's struggling on the track. It gets more and more wet out there. Not really the best day to stay outside and then sit in the sun maybe, but great for racing. Shumatinsky dropping a tire once again. Luckily not under braking. It's only 4.7 seconds now between O'Hara and Ogorodnikov. That means what Ogorodnikov sees there in the background, that is Andrew O'Hara on the hunt for the win here at Suzuka.
Not quite. I mean, he's got Klapano between them, but look at the back markers Ogorodnikov is now on. They're battling each other. So he's up behind Wong, Farid and Tan. So blue flags are going to be waving, but this is going to be tricky because they're racing one another. Look at that, Tan is holding the racing line. He's getting in the way of Ogorodnikov. And Ogorodnikov is losing so much time here while you see O'Hara clearly visibly gaining on Klapano. Ogorodnikov wants to be quicker and goes around the outside in the end, even touching onto the grass there to get past Tan. So definitely being held up at the moment.
Yeah, he needs to get out of the way because otherwise O'Hara, who might run into this group at a better spot on the track, all of a sudden can close that gap, and then the fight for the win would be on. By the way, Shumatinsky, yeah, we saw that maneuver against Gary Wong, so Shumatinsky in 4th now after his 15-second penalty, and then as the chat pointed out already, Milano obviously coming from 18th, now up to 3rd, so a podium spot, absolutely incredible. But the fight between Ogorodnikov and O'Hara, which is basically kind of like a distance fight, not really on track so far at least, getting really, really interesting.
Yeah, and look how close O'Hara is now. You see, he's got to get past the back markers, of course. He's still got Klapano and Tan between them at the moment, but Ogorodnikov yet to get past this fighting pair of Wong and Farid. They are fighting for 10th place, so it is, you know, a legit fight for points here. Wong in 10th place at the moment, trying to keep Farid behind him, as he has done for the majority of this race. And Ogorodnikov needs to get past his fighting pair, and neither wants to obviously give ground to the blue flags, but they're going to have to soon enough. There's the blue flags coming out. Tan's gone really wide, and almost catching Klapano as he rejoins the circuit, and O'Hara behind them. Ogorodnikov this time will go through the inside of Farid, so he does in the end give way and let Ogorodnikov pass. But look at O'Hara, he's right there.
Yeah, O'Hara now a lot closer. I mean, if he comes around this, he can see the fighting group, and he can see Ogorodnikov and the win right in front, up for grabs basically, but not yet in striking distance. He obviously hopes for Ogorodnikov being blocked now, at least a bit, by Wong. And it will cost him time, I assume. Like, there's no chance that this doesn't cost time unless Wong just locks the throttle once now before going through the left-hander, but he doesn't because he's afraid of Farid also going through.
Wong actually runs wide. Oh, Ogorodnikov nearly getting collected by him in the end. Does just be able to sneak through. So Ogorodnikov now past those back markers. Now don't forget O'Hara needs to get past them as well. But that has taken some time off Ogorodnikov for sure.
Yeah, but it also depends now on how quick O'Hara can be in this group, right? Like, does he run into them at a better spot? Can he really make use of that and go through quickly to then hunt down Ogorodnikov, which is now below 3 seconds? And then does he still have enough pace in the car to close the gap and take him down?
Look at that. Now, are we going to get that little bit of extra rain, I wonder? It still said 30, so I think we might not get it. But it's going to get even heavier at the end of the race, it seems. So, dangerous, dangerous stuff, as everybody's going to be on pretty tentative toes by the time their tyres will be pretty much slicks by the end of it there. But yeah, Ogorodnikov now got himself some clear air, so away he goes. It's down to whether O'Hara can get past these back markers. It's going to be tricky for them, no doubt about it, with everybody involved. Chung has just binned it on the corner. He's given a bit of power slide. That was just further down the field. As I try and find O'Hara going past Farid. So he's past one. He just needs to get past Wong now.
Yeah, let's see. One car between him and the current league, Ogorodnikov. Farid probably not that happy as he's losing more and more time to his opponent.
That's a good spot. Shimatensky has lost a position, lost 2 positions, hasn't he? So what's happened there? Gary Huang, he's back down to 6th place, Shimatensky. So didn't see what's happened there, but Huang and Sakharov back past him.
Yeah, it seems like a mistake, maybe a slippery curb again. Hopefully we can catch that in a replay. But for now, let's stay with Andre O'Hara, who still has 1 car between him and Ogorodnikov and 23 minutes to go to grab the win here.
Keeping the pressure on, but not close enough to Wong. I mean, let's face it, Wong is running in 10th place. It's not exactly a slow car that they are trying to get past now. They have done... I mean, it has been a fantastic race for them, no doubt about it. Farid running very wide behind them there. As O'Hara always let through cleanly. He's got past these back markers so much quicker than Ogorodnikov did. Let's have a look at the replay. This is Shimatensky, so let's see what happened.
Yeah, that is Gary Wong in the background. Oh, yeah, he just lost the rear, basically. And then got another tap by Gary Wong. Oh, did you really get back on track like this?
And that's straight into Sakharov, isn't it? That's Sakharov.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that just came in like a Exocet missile. Nothing that Sakharov could do about that.
Yeah, the problem here is, like, it looks really bad from the perspective, right? But we also have to keep in mind that the grass is wet, which means braking is nearly non-existent, right?
There's nothing you could do, and you wouldn't see the guy on your left until
I was wondering if Shimatensky had any chance there to not run into these two. But yeah, that was obviously awful to watch, and it cost both drivers a ton of time. Gary Wong was the lucky one. Although, so Shimatensky lost the rear. He's catching it. That's the little wiggle we see. And then Gary Wong is alongside. So the real question is, was Wong on his normal line? Because he needs to go to the outside anyway. And he wasn't expecting Shimatensky to recover that quickly from the spin. Or was it Shimatensky turning in a bit further to get back onto the line, and with that catching the right side of Wang? So it's not that clear here who was at fault.
Well, with 21 minutes to go, the race is on. O'Hara up behind Ogorodnikov. Back markers out of the way. Clear track ahead of them. O'Hara on, what, I think 20 minutes fresher tyres. Much quicker times. The question is now, who has the pace? It's all been well and good in the clear air, and while they've been wrestling with the back markers to get past them, Ogorodnikov clearly having more problems with the back markers than O'Hara did. But now, as O'Hara, as positions reverse from the first 45 minutes of this race, can O'Hara pass Ogorodnikov, the winner, 2-time winner of the sprint race in Laguna Seca?
Yeah, definitely Ogorodnikov, a great driver among this grade, and if you look at the predictions for the weather, it gets even worse in 30 minutes. Luckily, we only have 20 to go, so...
He's right on him. He's all over him. He's gained so much ground just from that one chicane. O'Hara just closed the gap so much.
Yeah, he's definitely quicker by now. His last lap time was a 2:09.4, while Ogorodnikov is on a 2:11.3. So,
you gotta also think of fuel, like, what fuel situation are they in here? Did Ogorodnikov do a splash and dash effectively at I think 55 minutes? He pit there. You know, is he trying to save fuel? Is he trying to nurse it to the end?
By the way, Shimatensky got a stop and go 30 seconds, probably for what just happened. So it seems like he was deemed at fault there for what happened. Oh, O'Hara is really
Ogrodnikov, look at
going
that.
now.
See, he couldn't even struggling with his rear ends there as he came out of the corner. Again, a little squirrely, and O'Hara's going to see that, and that's going to give him impetus to try and make a move because he realizes Ogrodnikov is struggling for drive out the corners.
And let's see when he will set him up for an overtake, maybe after Spoon. That could be a way for him to go. Let's see, O'Hara really close under braking. He's definitely coming close to Ogrodnikov. Seems also to be a bit more settled. That can also sometimes be down to netcode, basically the latency of each driver. But he is there. And it's not enough yet to make it alongside.
Just trying to force him to go defensive and maybe pull him off the racing line, but Ogrodnikov's too wise ahead to fall for that one. Been racing for a very long time. I remember speaking to Nils talking about Ogrodnikov. You know, he's a veteran in the scene, along with O'Hara, who's keeping that pressure on. And O'Hara, who went very long and we thought maybe left it too long, came out of the pits, so we really have 16 seconds to make up coming out of the pits, and he's done it in just 25 minutes, and now right on the back of Ogrodnikov into the first corner. Is he going to try and put it up the front? No, not close enough.
Yeah, it's interesting, like O'Hara played the long game, and it's absolutely incredible to see that. It seems like it paid off for him massively, in case he can take down Ogrodnikov and run away. Because otherwise, then just copying Ogrodnikov's strategy would have made the same, right? Because he was leading.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now he has to overtake Ogrodnikov. So for now, it's still the upper hand on Ogrodnikov, although I give it to O'Hara for setting up the car in a way now and his strategy that he's by far the quickest car on the track.
By the way,
yeah, he is.
Isaac Norman, up into 8th place now, who had a big off right at the start. And had himself a real problem back there. You know, he's up into 8th place, so congrats to him. Someone I haven't really mentioned throughout because he's been down in the back markers. But yeah, he's managed to work his way back up there. By hook or by crook, obviously there's been a few other drivers with issues, so he's managed to benefit from it. You know, don't forget Nigel Chua just ahead of him as well on a 15-second penalty, so chance to be up into 7th already. Yeah,
but he needs to be a bit quicker for that. He's trailing by 28 seconds by now, so not in that 15-second window, but he can certainly get into it. I mean, it's still 17 minutes nearly to go. A bit of counter steer necessary from Andrew O'Hara. Him managed the car very well there, but this will once again not be good enough to take down Ogrodnikov here, because Ogrodnikov had a really good exit. I think was a bit quicker coming out there.
So after the stop-go penalty, Shimotensi comes out down in 11th place. O'Hara looking up the inside. He's going to have to try and cut it in wide on Ogrodnikov here, right through that chicane once again. Definitely coming in a lot hotter than Ogrodnikov fancied. And he is going to be right on his back here coming into turn 1. Real chance to try and dive up that inside. Not going to happen. Just going to hold it strong at the moment. See whether he can make it work. But he's outdone himself on the brakes there, O'Hara. And in the end, he will run a little wide. And that's going to buy Ogrodnikov another lap, I feel, here as they go through the S's.
Yeah, I mean, every single lap that he can now stay in the lead works towards his plan, right? Because, as we said, O'Hara could have been in the lead with just a normal strategy and not running long. But he did, and he has the quicker car. For how long? That's the big question. Like, when does this performance of his tires and the strategy in general drops off? When does Ogrodnikov's tires drop off? Because they're a bit older. A lot older than O'Hara's in terms of lap count. And then he still has to find a way around him, so not an easy one for sure.
No, absolutely not. O'Hara once again trying to go for the undercut this time on Ogrodnikov, banking on the fact that he had a better drive out of the exit of the corner. Didn't work out well for him though. And again though, keeping that pressure on as they approach the curve. See whether he can squeeze his way through. Ogrodnikov fighting under that pressure. The rain getting heavier and heavier as well on the track, and O'Hara really trying to force for it. But as you mentioned, you know, this is all well and good, 15 minutes, and it does liven up the end of the race for us. But from our perspective, if O'Hara cannot get past Ogrodnikov, this was absolutely been a disaster of a choice. But he is definitely putting the pressure on Ogrodnikov once again as they try and go as quick as they dare. Got to make sure they don't put the tyre on the side there. O'Hara up the inside. They're going to be hard on the brakes as they go side by side into the chicane. Ogrodnikov makes sure he gets his elbows fully out and keeps O'Hara behind him.
Yeah, he wasn't able to keep the car alongside to be on the inside for the second part of the chicane, so I think that was the wrong way around to take down Ogrodnikov. And the replay we just saw was Klapano, who is in the pits now, due to what we just saw there. The spin and accident in the last chicane sends him into the pits once again for repairs. Not a great finish. He had good laps. He was with there like top 5, top 8. But unfortunately, it's not how this race will end for him with only 13 minutes to go. O'Hara still really on the back of Ogrodnikov. He's creating one car here, but it's so hard.
He's really trying now, though, isn't he, O'Hara? He's trying every move he can make. He's trying to really work Ogrodnikov. He knows it's now or never. He's got to get past. 13 minutes to go. His tyres are fresher, and they're going to start falling away if he's not careful, sitting in this dirty air. So he's got to make the most of those fresher tyres before it gets too wet out here, because we can see and they can see that it is going to get wetter. Ogrodnikov runs a little wide there, but still gets enough of the dry. Doesn't only just puts a toe on the AstroTurf, not so much on the grass itself. And again, a little different angle. O'Hara tries to cut inside, go for that switchback, but doesn't have a quick enough exit to get past Ogrodnikov.
Yeah, O'Hara, we see him really working that steering wheel. Well, Klapano got a 5-second penalty, probably for what we saw in the chicane. But yeah, it's not easy out there on the track now. It is slippery, and you see them fighting every single time to keep the car in check. Look at that, another drift right on the apex there by Andrew O'Hara. He's keeping it clean and tidy. He's doing a good job there at the steering wheel, but so does Ogrodnikov. And for now, Ogrodnikov is in control of the situation, and it will also play into this how frustrated O'Hara gets with still being behind, not being in the lead like he was for the first half of the race. Once again, trying around the outside of the chicane. Trying to get a better drive maybe out of the chicane, but it does not pay off for him just now, as he's still behind and probably not close enough to really launch it here into turn 1.
Yeah, I think he's trying to force Ogrodnikov to go defensive into there, which gives him obviously a much closer run into turn 1. But as you say, Ogrodnikov's doing a great job at being defensive, and this is what we talked about. It's all well and good catching, but can you get past the man? A veteran driver like Ogrodnikov knows exactly when and where those overtaking points are going to be, so you're going to have to try something special, or Ogrodnikov's going to be forced into a mistake.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see who's braking first, basically, on this fight. Look at a beautiful shot. O'Hara right behind, like he was the last laps, and still 11 minutes. So even if Ogrodnikov can hold on to first, he knows that he has these 11 minutes that he has to defend of O'Hara. Basically 5 laps to go, and that's a massive job that he's aware of, and that hopefully does not drag him down.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, are we going to get close? I can see 2 back markers ahead of them now. 10 minutes to go. They're going to get dragged into this, I feel. Oh, Ogrodnikov once again. O'Hara goes for that much tighter curve on the hairpin, doesn't he? And tries to force Ogrodnikov to go defensive and maybe pull him out there. But it's Norman, Isaac Norman, that's just ahead of him. And he's running in 8th place, chasing, I think it's Nigel Schur that may be just ahead of him as well. Actually, I think it's made up a lot of ground if that's Nigel Schur, because he was a long way back, wasn't he? So maybe
that could be the chance.
That's another wide run there, but Ogrodnikov closes the door and just slams it shut onto O'Hara.
Yeah, this time he was a lot closer than previously, and he might try again around the outside on the chicane. Oh, Ogrodnikov, he was struggling. That was too far on the curb, and with that not enough traction, O'Hara finally goes alongside. He will have the upper hand on the inside here, but he has to stay back. He did not want to touch Ogrodnikov, and Both drivers managed to get through this without a single touch. Appreciate it, because obviously we want to see them racing. But that was the first big chance now for O'Hara against Ogrodnikov. And he might launch it again just here. Let's see if he can do it around the outside. And he does. Wow, they're going side by side once again. They're still side by side, but O'Hara in the worst spot around there. So he has to slot behind Ogrodnikov. And now Ogrodnikov definitely knows that these 9 minutes to go will be sweaty.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Some serious racing. Great to see from them. O'Hara could have made it stick, and as you say, may well have made contact, so he just chose to back out of it. Some great driving for these two drivers at the moment. O'Hara is absolutely making Ogrodnikov work on every single corner, not just looking for that one overtake maneuver. He is putting pressure every single corner they come into. 9 minutes is going to seem like a lifetime for Ogrodnikov here as O'Hara continues to make it work. There's Norman and Lowe right ahead of them, and I just wonder, are they going to get brought into this one? I feel they will. Isaac Norman running in 8th place. Lowe is one of the back markers down in 16th, so will be lapped for a second time, but they are going to get in the way in a few moments' time if they're not careful. These two racing hard for first place.
Yeah, it's a great finish of a 2-hour race. I mean, these two really making sure that it's very entertaining for everyone that joins us for this race, and it will be even crazier once they hit the traffic. As I said, it is Isaac Norman that they run into, who's currently running in 8th, so it's not like that's the back of the grid or whatsoever. Instead, it is top 10. They're even going side by side there. There's Isaac Norman against the set Lowe. It is. And then behind Lowe, we see
so
the
Lowe's
fight
getting on
for
the
the
way.
lead.
Yeah, Lowe will get blue flag there because obviously Isaac Norman lapping him, so they've got to be careful. So at least Isaac Norman's past the back marker. So Ogrodnikov coming into the chicane now. Lowe's got to realize what's coming up behind them. Hopefully he realizes some very quick cars closing the gap. He's just obviously got out of the way one back marker, so should be very much aware. So Lowe won't be the problem, I feel. I think it might be Isaac Norman maybe caught off guard by back markers coming, probably thinking the blue flags are for Lowe and not for him himself. As they're coming into turn one, the flashing lights from Ogrodnikov saying, get the hell out of the way. This is a serious race. 7 minutes to go. Ogrodnikov just about keeps his car in the middle of the track, making sure that O'Hara can't cut up the inside. Lowe pulls off the track completely. Love it.
Yeah, it was good doing that there, because this will or would have an impact on the winner of this race for sure, as they now run into Norman. Norman, I'm pretty sure he knows that these cars are the current leaders, and he will probably pull out of the way, but the S's are also not the easiest place. Well, we see the distance now between Ogrodnikov and O'Hara basically non-existent. There's absolutely no gap between those guys. Now they run into Norman. Let's see how Norman reacts as he pulls aside. Yeah, brakes on the inside. That was good. Slotting on right behind, making sure that these two can keep fighting. But it also means O'Hara has to do that on his own strength and does not get any help by some of the back markers, at least for now.
Oh, look at that. Ogrodnikov reading what O'Hara's been doing for the last couple of laps, and this time defends the switchback that O'Hara's been trying to go for a couple of times, trying to cut that inside and make sure, and really great driving from both of these two front runners. You know, what an absolute pleasure this is after 1 hour and 55 minutes to be racing this hard in the final 5 minutes in this rain. Look at the weather. It is wet. The track has got wetter out there, and they are driving their absolute balls off these cars.
Yeah, it's definitely getting worse out there and across the entire race, but it was somehow stable to what we have now. But now we really got some proper rain on. And who is the rain master? O'Hara, once again, same spot as the previous 3 or 4 laps, where he tries to go to the outside, show himself in the rearview mirror for Ogrodnikov, but not yet enough to really make a move on him. And Ogrodnikov, he knows now it's like 2 laps, 3 laps, that he has to stay there and has to defend O'Hara just a bit more for him to lift the trophy. And Suzuka, O'Hara, a lot closer under braking here, a lot later with it. Seems to have the quicker car by now due to tires or even due to fuel, we don't know. But Ogrodnikov not up to the pace from Andrew O'Hara.
Just to keep you updated, obviously further down the field, you know, Andika Ramolana running in clean track as well. Gary Huang looking pretty good for his 4th place. Sakharov is a long way back from him. So everybody else is kind of settled in their positions. There may be a couple of positions further down the field, but this is definitely the race to watch right now between Ogorodnikov and O'Hara. 4 minutes now to go. He's been behind him for the last 12 minutes. O'Hara's been hot on his heels. Ogorodnikov is defending so fiercely, and just about everywhere he can go. Runs wide once again, but cuts and back onto the track. Just about perfect drive once again as he has to defend into the hairpin.
Yeah, look at that, how close he comes every single time, and there's a huge difference between their lines most of the time, with Ogorodnikov obviously having to keep in mind that he might have to defend the dive from O'Hara, or that he needs to make sure that the grip is still there. But O'Hara, also the confidence I think that he shows here, he was very safe on that one attack at the chicane. He stepped back, he wants to make sure that it's fine and that he does not touch Ogorodnikov and win due to that. So he seems to be confident that he will get back onto Ogorodnikov every single time, although the gap now a bit bigger. I think O'Hara did a slight mistake there, lost the rear.
Yep. He had his, it was on the curbstone, so he had to just adjust, which obviously made him run a bit wider because he was fearful of obviously his rear being lost there, so he's just had to nudge off a bit, but he's straight back on him. Now, of course, as we come back into the chicane, but time is running out, laps are running out. You know, these guys are running. We've got, what, 2 laps left, basically. They're going to go over the line now. We're going to have another lap after this, but 2 laps is all O'Hara's got. Yeah,
and it seems like Ogorodnikov is really low in terms of, or really high in terms of tyre wear. As,
what fuel has he got left?
Yeah, the chat reported that he has no tyres. I mean, they're still there, 4 of them. But it seems like they're not in great condition, and that could explain why Andrew O'Hara, with the fresher tyres, he was really out there long on the track. But it also means O'Hara, by the way, was driving these tyres all day long. Because he used his tyres, I think, what, 1 hour and nearly, 1 hour and 20. So, it's not like he doesn't know how to handle these tyres, but Ogorodnikov is on the older tyres, but also O'Hara's will drop off a bit, and the rain will only get worse every single minute. So with these changing conditions, I wonder who's the most adaptive now of these drivers.
Well, I mean, what's the line like as the best chance if he goes off it with those wet tyres? He's got to try and pick up the thing is he's not getting a chance to, because obviously sometimes you want to go off and pick up as much dirt and gravel as you can on the tyres to try to effectively give you some grip, which sometimes, as weird as it sounds, can't work. He's gone wide. He's gone really wide there. O'Hara looking once again to pull at the inside, but the drive is good from Ogorodnikov. Had to run in a little wide there, but O'Hara pulled in. Just a little glimmer for him then, as once again we approach the S-curve. And this is going to be really tricky, O'Hara. This is where O'Hara ran wide last time. But I got to be honest.
Oh, that was close.
Yeah, I think he had to run wide before he ran in the back of Ogorodnikov, but he's going to have the drive coming on the exit.
Yeah, now he's really, really close. That might be enough slipstream to now send it down into that 50th corner in case he gets the inside.
Oh, he's got the line. He's got the driving line. He's alongside. Ogorodnikov has to back out. He won't have the race in line here. Surely O'Hara does give him space, but that forces Ogorodnikov really wide. And O'Hara coming into the chicane, going to be hard on the brakes, side by side once again. Does O'Hara give him the room that he did in the first time around? He does. Had to cut across now. Does he have to give that back? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the big question now. Like, Ogorodnikov feels like O'Hara has to give that back. Wonder if that's what will happen here. I mean, in terms of defending, Ogorodnikov did a good job there. Andrew O'Hara will definitely run away with the tyres that he has still left, with Ogorodnikov being basically at the end of lifetime circle of them. So
he's giving it back.
Yeah, he's waiting. He's waiting. All right, fight is still on for the very last lap, because we're 22 seconds of the remaining race time. Let's see if O'Hara can do it once again. He now knows he can overtake Ogorodnikov. He was setting up for this move ages ago, basically 30 minutes ago. But it also probably creeps up on him. If I wouldn't have ran the same, the different strategy to Ogorodnikov, I could still be leading.
In terms of championship, of course, Ogorodnikov winning both sprint races at Laguna Seca. This would be magnificent for his championship chances. Second place at Monza behind Gary Huang, who's running in fourth at the moment. Andika Rambolana, we've got to give him potential driver of the day, by the way. 18th up to third after an outing on the first lap. Fantastic performance for him, but it's all about O'Hara and Ogrodnikov now. And once again, the exit's looking good. Ogrodnikov defending well. And now they have just a couple of corners left. The S-curve is where there's been mistakes made by both drivers on the exit. And I got a feeling coming into that final chicane, we're going to see them side by side again.
Yeah, that's very likely. I mean, Andrew O'Hara, he did that every single lap so far. He was looking at that overtaking opportunity there. And maybe he can get it done. It's the last chance for O'Hara. Definitely the quickest driver on the track, but it seems like his strategy did not pay off that well because he's still behind Ogrodnikov with a way better car. So can the Russian driver stay? Can he stay in control of the championship? He's running a bit wide. He's losing the car on the curb. Both spin off into the wall, and that might even end the race for one of them.
Disaster!
And Ogrodnikov is still going. He was the one losing the car on the curbs, and even if he would be waiting by now for O'Hara, it's not happening. Ogrodnikov will definitely cross the line, at least for now, as the winner. Losing the car, that happens so often in this race already on these curbs, and he was able to catch it, probably thanks to Andrew O'Hara's car there on the inside, but that was the deciding moment now of the race. Wow.
Oh, and you saw that O'Hara had that inside line. He took it really well. You could see Ogrodnikov was slowly running wider and wider. And as you say, we've seen so many cars throughout this race, especially when it's a wet track, just getting that tire on the full speed corner. Let's have a look at that replay.
Wow, what a finish to the race. I mean, look at it. Ogrodnikov around the outside. That's slow motion now by now. Don't worry.
Look at the grip that O'Hara has. You can see he's got the line and he was through, and then he's just losing that back end.
Yeah, it's not down to Ogrodnikov doing anything wrong besides losing the car within these conditions. Is absolutely normal, right? But it's probably O'Hara who would have won this because he was on the better line. He had the better car. Traction was there for him. And while we see Mulana now crossing the line, you said already, probably driver of the day with the comeback he had. Definitely deserves this podium spot. But what an end to this race. Question now is, will there be a penalty or will this be seen as race incident? Because normally, if this wouldn't be for the race, you could go for race incident, right? It was kind of crazy, but I might also see at least a penalty to send Ogrodnikov down to second, as it's very, very likely for me at least that O'Hara would have won this, although he would have once again been on the outside for the chicane, and so far, that never paid off for him.
Oh man, I really don't know how to judge that. I mean, it's definitely one for the stewards, that's for sure, because you know, he was the simple fact is that the car he's lost the back end, hasn't he? He lost the back end. Could he have collected it without going into O'Hara? Maybe. But the fact is that his back end was going around, his front was close, and the fact is that they were running side by side through a corner that honestly is probably the fastest corner of the circuit. So it's one of those things, you knew it was going to be like this. We could see it coming from, what was it, 45 minutes I think O'Hara gave himself, you know, went in for that pits, gave himself the run, but oh, what a race in the end there. Magnificent finish, and it's just a shame that it ended in a collision, but so often when we see these races as close as they are, it does sometimes work out that way.
I mean, marshals will be all over this. We saw a few penalties being handed out during the race, and this is now a deciding incident, right? According to race results. And I have to say, though, entertainment of this race, absolutely spot on. I mean, that was action all over the track for nearly the entirety of the 2 hours that we had. And having such a close finish, amazing. Would have been maybe even more amazing without the crash in terms of racing. Would have been a bigger highlight. Probably no. I think everyone's heart was stopping at that moment when we saw Ogrodnikov slipping away there on the curb. So no matter which result we get in the end, that was probably one of the craziest ending to a race that I've seen, and I absolutely loved that one.
To an endurance race as well, you know, the stop strategies we saw in there. I think it was around about 55 minutes for when Ogrodnikov came in, and we were debating it, and you know, he was running 2 seconds a lap quicker every time, and O'Hara was running longer and longer and longer. You just thought, okay, is he leaving it too late now, because he was starting to do 2:11s, 2:12s before he came in. But 45 minutes he came in the pits, so a good 20 minutes longer than Ogrodnikov ran. One of the last cars to actually stop as well. And then absolutely went for it completely. You know, with a little help from the back markers, he was on the back of Ogrodnikov with 16 minutes to go. But a fantastic race from both drivers. Strategy is working. You know, Ogrodnikov at the end, we were talking about, you know, it's all well and good, the strategy, and yeah, you got on the back of him, but if you don't overtake him, strategy failed, because effectively he had to take, if he'd have come in at the same time as Ogrodnikov, he'd have come out of the pits ahead of him, and then that would have been it. He would have been ahead in the game, and we'd have been back to where we were for the first 50 minutes of the race. So what a race so overall. And you know, my hat's off also to Andika Ramamalana, by the way, who was put off the track early on by Shimatensky in a racing incident collision, went down to 18th position on the first lap, and fought his way back up to a podium finish. Fantastic.
Yes, in general, like seeing Mulana's comeback, that was great. We saw Gary Wong with some cool maneuvers, so there was good racing everywhere. But I wanted to point out, I love that we had a finish to the race with 2 different strategies. But I still kind of question O'Hara's strategy, because all of this could have been avoided with him pitting maybe like 10 minutes earlier, 5 minutes earlier. Because then Ogrodnikov would have never made a pass, right? And all of a sudden O'Hara never had this fight, and also this finish would have never happened that way, right? So while I love that it was working for him and that it was clearly the quickest car on the track, it did not work in terms of positioning on the track. And I have to give it to Ogrodnikov, who was holding up nicely there with a car that was on older tires, and with knowing that the next 16 minutes basically were total pain for him defending all day long. So I wonder if that will have an impact on O'Hara's next decision making in one of these longer races that we'll have across the season.
Yeah, and let's not forget, obviously, we do have live racing stewards. There's also, obviously, decisions to be made after the race as well. Obviously, all the drivers can submit any sort of faults that they may have seen or wasn't spotted throughout the race that they can that then will be judged afterwards as well. So who knows? This could be a classic. It's a Hamilton Verstappen all over again. It's something that could go on and on and on throughout the socials, and you know. Was anybody at fault? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. It's not like Ogrodnikov meant to turn in like that. He simply lost the back end. It was racing is racing. But one thing's for sure, it obviously wasn't Andrew O'Hara's fault either, because he was just simply the victim of it. But yeah, it's something that we will definitely go on and on and on. But overall, absolutely magnificent racing between them. I loved it. You know, we also should look further down the field, and of course, towards the whole championship as a whole, you know, be it whether Ogrodnikov got first or whether he gets penalised and goes in second, either way, because I don't think Milana was close enough, even if it's a 15-second penalty. I'm pretty sure it is going to be second regardless, even if that's the case. In terms of championship, what a magnificent result. Second place at Monza, first place as place in both races at Monza, first place in both races in Laguna Seca, and now a potential win here is looking great for a driver that has competed for many years, obviously, and is looking great here for a potential championship. We still have 7 races to go, though, don't forget, Rene. So all you guys, you hot drivers in the chat that are obviously out there, you guys can register for the next race as well, which should be happening. Qualifications between the 2nd and 6th for Kia Lama.
I just love that, how sim racing is creating their own highlight stories, right?
Yeah.
Just like the real race is doing it. While we're talking about highlight stories, in case you're on the chat and you're wondering, oh, could I really take part and win? Niels Naujoks is in the chat. He won last time, so he raced...
He's the man you see in the video.
Yes, like he raced the real Lamborghini GT3 car. So yes, it does happen, and it could happen to you. And if you need some tips, then let me just get in contact with him. I heard he can save nearly everyone besides me, kind of, in terms of pace. So, great to see him also having a look at what's happening here. I think we had a great race at Suzuka. I wonder if it was like this on all the other regions, because we should probably point out there are other regions racing today. There's North American, Latin American region, and there's the EMEA, and obviously we happen in Asia Pacific for today's race, and we will go through the different regions across the season, so you will be able to see all the different drivers racing. Last time we saw, I think, Jordan Sheriff, right? That was the region we touched on base last time. So you can see all of that here with Lamborghini The Real Race.
Kia Lama, indeed. Kia Lami.
Kia Lami.
South Africa. That's what we'll go with. It'll be a lot easier. But yeah, that's going to be obviously the race. That's going to be, I think, the 2nd to the 6th is the qualifiers, which means the race will be on the 8th of August. That will be the next race, certainly here on the channel as well. But what a fantastic race. The APAC region absolutely delivering, as you say, with the European regions out there as well. But magnificent stuff here. You know, for a 2-hour endurance race to come down to the final lap, the final race, you love to see it after, obviously, the setups they've had. Brilliant stuff.
And it seems like we will be coming to an end with round number 3 of Lamborghini The Real Race. You know already what's up next, because Leo was previously talking about the schedule, so make sure to mark it in your calendar and be ready for more racing action. Finally see the guys going towards, hopefully, their drive of their life with becoming part of the Lamborghini program next year and actually having a chance to drive the EVO 2, the Huracán EVO 2 GT3 car on a real racetrack. Be ready for more action. Follow us on social media. Make sure that you're well aware of everything that's happening around Lamborghini Squadra Corsa. And that's it, actually. So thanks, Lee, for joining me and for taking over the intro since my internet did not want to play along. My name is Randy Butler, and I see you guys next time. Maybe not.
Maybe we'll see you sooner than we think.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe that's totally fine. I mean,